Hey, broads.
Hi, broads.
Guess what? I've had a lot of Dayquil.
Are you sick? I didn't even know.
No.
You're like, no, that's just part of my daily routine.
It's part of my life routine. No, actually, also, don't come for me about having Dayquil. I try not to, but...
Wait, why is that about...
I don't know.
Wait, what's going on? Why are you taking Dayquil?
Because I was around many a cat earlier, and I get really bad allergies, and for some reason, Dayquil is like kind of the only thing that will settle my very, very, very puffy eyes.
I take like a Claritin?
Yeah, but it doesn't work for me. I know. It doesn't make any sense. But here I am, and so if I say anything strange, it's the Dayquil.
Shut up. Stop it. That's when I was at a comedy act and this girl was blaming it on the Dayquil and I'm like, Dayquil.
I know. Listen, the only excuse that you're like, I was saying crazy shit is like
if you were on a fucking Percocet or something after a couple glasses of wine.
Fine. It's like it's 1 PM. I'm
already taken my Xanax and had a couple mimosas.
I've had NyQuil and a few glasses of champagne. Life's a little weird. It's a little fuzzy.
Yep.
No, I'm blaming this already before.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
what are you going to say this episode,
in
Jess?
case I reveal my family's darkest secrets, that I can just...
We'll edit around that, honey. Don't you worry.
We don't believe in editing.
For some reason,
here,
my forehead is really itchy right now, and I try not to scratch it because it's just going to make it worse. So I'm just touching it, patting it with cold hands. I don't know why. We're really falling apart over here at the Broad Studio.
Like, what's going on?
I don't know.
Happy Thursday.
I do not know.
I'm swollen by cats. You're itchy by pregnancy, maybe?
Yeah, I actually get eczema all over my scalp and face when I get pregnant, which is so fun.
Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, which if you're listening, the YouTube will come out 24 hours after, props. Becca, if you see her itch, please don't make any comments about it.
Oh, are you talking about the one time somebody called me out for itching my inside of my arms because I have eczema?
People have said before, they're like, why does she keep itching? I'm like,
because I have eczema. Okay. So glad you don't have to deal with it, so you don't know why I'm itchy.
I'm going to put Becca in a giant cocoon filled with lotion.
I mean, my forehead is really like on fire, and I smothered it in cream this morning. It's just a pregnancy. I was talking to my midwife about it, and she's like, well, seems like the cure to this problem is not being pregnant.
Oh, did she seriously say that?
Yeah,
is that full of shade?
No, she was just like, it seems like your eczema and acne problems are pregnancy related. So like, seems like the cure to this is not being pregnant. So you're going to have to wait several months until you get, true relief. Because it's what happened with Ruth. It came and went when I was pregnant. Anyway.
Poor itchy thing.
Was that not what you were expecting her to say?
Well, it sounded like very like shady. Like, well, maybe you shouldn't get pregnant, bitch.
Well, I was
like that's what it
her,
sounded like. I was like, oh, geez, what a midwife.
No, I was like, well, I've seen my dermatologist and I've seen all this and I've done this and that. And she's like, well, it seems like the solution is to not be pregnant anymore. So like 5 months from now, you're going to be good.
You'll
sorry,
be fine.
kind of thing. So anyway, today we're not going to talk about itchiness and Dayquil.
Yes, today we thought that we would. Well, listen, when we're not doing Bachelor season, sometimes we don't have as many people listening. We still have our hardy broad squad, but the numbers go up, and then we tend to get some new listeners. And some new listeners and also some OG broads have questions that we regularly get that we can't really answer. So we thought that we would kind of take a moment to talk about ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, sort of give maybe a get to know us kind of episode.
Yeah.
We do have quite a variety of questions that we received, but I do kind of want to keep it to like our backgrounds and personalities and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully stuff that we'll try to keep it stuff we haven't covered. I don't want to just regurgitate stuff we've already talked about, although that probably will come up. But
it happens sometimes. It happens.
So I kind of want to just like start it out just asking you some stuff.
Oh my God. Okay.
I kind of want to talk about, first of all, I don't even think I know. Let's talk about family makeup. Like,
okay.
Are you only child, first child? What's your family situation? I mean, I'm already knowing this. So I'm like, your parents got divorced. Like what? So tell me your family structure.
Sure. I was dropped on this earth as an egg. I have no family.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're so mysterious.
No, so I was an only child for many years.
First of all,
yeah.
What date were you born and what year?
October 13th, 1988. I'm an 88.
The best
I just would like to throw some shade at some jewelry companies who, when I want to get like a cute 1988 necklace, those like gold plated ones, they don't have that far back. So fuck you guys. Because they think like all the cute gold plated necklaces are going to be for all the young
97.
Yeah, for all like the younger girls.
Wow.
The cute like little TikTok girls.
Little do they know.
And I'm like, well, maybe I want one too. But I'm apparently too old for that, so
I'll get you a custom one for
thank
your
you.
birthday.
Yeah, October 13th in 1988.
And you might as well, on that note, you might as well say your sun, moon, and risings.
Yeah, well, that was actually a huge twist for me this past year. I found out that the person who put together my chart had my rising sign wrong, so for quite a while.
Okay, but do you know that this depends on what type of chart you're using? And it depends on, so it's not necessarily wrong. I learned this when I downloaded the app Time Passages.
Okay.
So because there's different types of like astrology charts. So like whole sign, for instance, versus other, I can't remember what the other ones are called. But your rising could shift depending on what kind of chart people are accessing.
Okay.
So.
Well, the chart that I currently
that I've
been getting now is that I am a Libra sun. I am a Scorpio moon. And I am a Gemini rising.
Okay. What was the rising before?
Leo.
Oh, I don't really know what the difference is between those two, honestly.
Well, I'm here now and it's air and water, baby. Air and water. But yeah, no, I was, my family, Orange County, born and raised. And, I was an only child for most of my life. Well, I shouldn't say that. I guess a chunk of it. But when I feel like a good amount of your like early years, when you don't have a sibling, it almost feels like you were an only child for a long time. Because when I was 13, my mother and father adopted my precious sister, Janae. That was actually like a really cool story. My mother used to babysit this one girl, and she ended up getting pregnant and years later contacted my mother.
Wow.
And she was young, and so she was like, I am looking for someone to take my child. And so my parents decided to adopt my sister, and so we got her right from the hospital. And so, you know, she's just been a part of my life since the day that she's been part of our family since the day she was born.
Was that jarring for you? The introduction of like a infant into your
life? It was a little weird because I technically have one cousin who I've met like one time because there's some family drama on that side. But he's literally my only cousin. So there are no kids in our family. So you don't really
have a huge extended family.
No, I have no one.
Okay.
So it is literally like mom, dad, uncle, aunt. None of them had children, and the grandparents and me. And so then when Janae was born, it was like I was 13, but I felt like I would have been maybe like 10, I think it would have been a little more jarring. But at 13, I was kind of starting to do my own thing with my friends a little bit.
Whatever,
so
mom and dad have a baby now.
I was like, oh my God, mom and dad suck. Like, I'm so cool with my Mary-Kate and Ashley hair and my braces. Everyone can suck it. No, but I felt like more of a second mom to her because I ended up babysitting her like half of the week.
Yeah.
I was homeschooled at the time, so I was around a lot.
See, I thought you said you did no babysitting. You took care of your infant sister.
It's true, but that was the only babysitting I ever did, really.
I think that's a pretty good experience.
It was decent. She was a very easy baby. But yeah, so then...
you were homeschooled for when?
I was homeschooled from... Oh, Lord. I was homeschooled from 4th grade through 8th grade.
Why? Do you know?
I requested it.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I was at a private school and I hated it. I don't know why I hated it. All of a sudden, I remember one day in 3rd grade being like, a lot of these kids are really mean. I'm kind of over this. I want to do my own thing.
Was it a pretty small private school?
It was a small private school. It was a lot of families who were pretty affluent. There was a lot of money. And already, I remember being a kid, like kindergarten through 3rd grade, and there was already a lot of like the cliques were intense. The pressure was intense. And my family, you know, they did well, but it wasn't anything compared to a lot of these other families. And it just felt like I was stressed constantly. And
I went into a private school in 6th grade. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No.
I was just gonna say that was my struggles in private school as well.
Oh, because of the
really affluent, and it wasn't even that my parent. I mean, I don't actually know my parents' financial situation compared to other kids, but something I noticed is that a lot of the kids, whether or not their parents actually had money, it was very showy. Like the kind of cars that the parents would drive, the clothes that the kids were wearing. There was a lot of pressure for that kind of thing. And
I had uniforms, so it was all just about the shoes.
Oh, okay.
Shoes and jewelry.
Oh, no.
But I was like, I'm in second grade. I don't have any jewelry.
Yeah, that's crazy. They have like acrylic nails. They're like,
For
where
real,
did you get your
though.
lash extensions done, Kelly?
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm 8. Like, I had no... Yeah.
So you requested it. You were just like, I'm not having fun.
I was just over it. And then I had one of my girlfriends who I went to my little church with was homeschooled, but she had this like program where she was homeschooled but got to like participate with kids 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do that.
It's perfect amount for
perfect.
my inner reclusive self.
Exactly. So I was like, all right. And then I was with all those kids, and that school was insane small, right? And that school was very, 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 very strict. And I was like...
Was it like a charter school? Or just like a homeschool co-op?
It was like a homeschool co-op.
Okay.
And I was the crazy one there. So I was like the bad kid. And I was
like, I just came from private school.
I came from private school. And I got a lot of shade from the parents. And it was very strange because I was always like a really good kid. One. Yeah. And it was so weird to walk all of a sudden into like this kind of like small religious setting where you were the sketchy kid, where I had been kind of made fun of at my private school for being like the lame, nerdy, goody two shoes kid. And I was like, I'm the bad one here. And I'm like, I don't know if I hate this. I was kind of into it. It's like no one else can do Pokemon. They all think that it's the devil's work, and I have my cards, and my mom didn't care. She was like, we're not going to take our stuff away from our kid. She can still be who she's going to be.
It's just Pokemon.
No, they were like, evolution. Yeah, it was real. It was very conservative, very conservative. But I was there until 8th grade, and that was interesting. Felt like when I went into high school, I was like, what is this world? Very thrown off. But yeah, so
did you choose it every year up until high school?
Yeah, kind of.
It was kind of something that happened. You're like, this is what we're doing. So
I was, to be completely honest, I kind of hit a certain point where I was scared to go back to like regular school, because I was like, I feel so lame.
You're like in a whole Amish gown. You're like,
no, I literally, like, you weren't allowed to have your arms showing. Like, it was very, very, very conservative.
Your arms showing?
I couldn't show my arms.
Like you
I had to have like 3/4 length. I couldn't wear a short sleeve. I couldn't wear a tank. You had to have your legs covered.
Like you couldn't wear like knee length shorts? Whoa.
No. Oh no.
I wasn't on that level.
No. It was conservative. If I ever wanted to answer a question, I would have to stand up. If not, you would get docked when you address a teacher.
Hit you, Jess. Are you okay?
Send help. Okay. It was like, I mean, it was borderline. It was one of those weird things where, and it really did mess with me because it was like co-op style, which I think is really cool when done correctly. I think it's amazing. But this specific co-op style, because it was very, very, very conservative, I had other adults speaking into my life constantly in an inappropriate level. Like, you are not my parent. You're also not my teacher. You should not be telling me what I can and cannot like wear, or what I'm wearing is inappropriate. Like, I'd get a lot of that, you know what I mean? And it was a lot of, quote unquote authority figures' opinions coming in and like telling me how to live and what not to do and what to do.
It's also like really another level, because I know you know, in private school and even in public school we had like the tank top 2-finger rule and like little things like that, just sort of the standard dress code.
This was next level.
That is
No, that's the thing. When I tell people like, no, I grew up, like, I was raised in a really conservative environment. Like, it was very conservative, which is why I think when
how
people
did your mom feel about that?
My mom's interesting because she was a little wild child, but then she became a Christian and she got way more conservative. And in that environment, it was almost like she wouldn't ever put any of that pressure on me, but would be put on me organically.
And she sort of had to go along with like the other moms.
And she just went along with it. Yeah. So she was always kind of the wild mom. Yeah. But she also, I think, found a little bit of a place there. Mm-hmm. You know, she was like, she's very good with literature and history. So she was able to like use her skills, and she hadn't had a job before. So here she was, you know, and so I think she felt seen there.
I don't know what, I was wondering if your mom's experience was similar. I know my mom's experience when I was both in public and private school, she didn't really fit in with a lot of the moms in that environment.
What years were you homeschooled?
I'll get into that, but K through 5th and then freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
And my mom always got along with the homeschool moms a lot better than like any of my private school friends, public school friends. And I think, Yeah,
so I think that
it's kind of like the island of misfit toys kind of thing. It's sort of how it is sometimes with the homeschool co-ops, and like
you can really, and I think my mom found a few people there that she really connected with. Now, granted, the people that my mom connected with, I loved. Yeah. And they're still people who are like involved in my life today, and I adore them and they're wonderful. But there was a lot.
This chorus of voices that was.
Chorus of voices. I remember being in 8th grade and thinking that I became a Christian, even though I had thought I was a Christian before, but then I was like, maybe I'm not. And I prayed the prayer again, and I felt like it was different. And so I had all of a sudden this passion that I was like, we had chapel every Friday, and I used to sing for chapel. And so I'm like, I want to go up in front of all the kids. And it was kindergarten through 8th grade. And a lot of the parents would show up for chapel too. And I was like, I want to go up in front of all the kids, and I want to be vulnerable and say, hey, I have been saying that I was a Christian, and I thought I was a Christian this whole time, but I wasn't. I have to be honest with you, and I've changed, and I want you to know that it's okay if you feel like that too, and if you want to be honest. And I wanted vulnerability out of everybody, right? But I was like, I have to be vulnerable first. So I went up on stage, and the sweet guy who led worship like encouraged me to do it. He was wonderful. He's like, you should do it. And I did it, and I felt so good afterwards. And I came off the stage, and I had immediately like 3 or 4 parents pull me aside and like lay into me and be like, how dare you go up there and like make our kids who are younger question their faith because it was like, whoa. Uh-huh. So then Jess just shut down. And it was like, all right, whatever anyone says, I'll just do. And then that really fed into a lot of like.
Did your mom know about that?
She did, and my mom was pissed about that. She went off.
Yeah,
Sylvia was not having it.
It's traumatizing.
Yeah. But that was very much kind of a catalyst for a lot of the way that I lived my life for many years afterwards, where I was very afraid to like be completely vulnerable, and I just kind of let people direct me in my life.
Oh, wow.
You know?
You feel like that was a big, what would you call it?
It was a big turning point for me. Yeah, it was a really big turning point for me. Yeah, because you're just kind of like, well, you're at, 8th grade. It's a very like weird age.
I'm so sorry because it's so vulnerable. And
it was.
And your intention is like, I want to share this with people. And then when you're just shot down, and not only that, your intentions are questioned and told that you were trying to like lead other people astray. How upsetting.
I was the devil.
Oh my God, I would be devastated. But especially because I know how it is to be on stage with the chapel and the singing. I mean, that.
It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was, and ultimately you look back at stuff and you're like, oh, I'm so grateful because I needed it in my life because it developed muscle that I didn't have before. But it just took a long time for me to get back to a point where I was then able to be like, no, this is who I am. That's it. Whatever. Yeah. You can leave me. You can love me or hate me, whatever. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so then had that high school, met my husband in high school. That was fun. And had my little sister. Again, my sister and I had a 13-year age difference. So her and I have gotten really close now as I'm older. But when she was, when I was in high school, she was like a couple years old. Yeah. So she was just a little munchkin. But then my parents, I went to college, and then my parents got divorced when I was 21, which was weird. It's a very weird thing. I think anybody who divorce is always so hard when you're a kid, but it's just a different type of hard. Like I watched my little sister go through divorce, and she was, I think, like 8 or 9 at the time, and it was so difficult for her, and she was just crying, and having to go back and forth between mom and dad's house was so hard. And as a 21-year-old, you're a little bit like, it's very much like this, what am I supposed to do with this? Like,
and you're at a different stage of awareness and you have your own life.
You feel like you have to take someone's side a little bit. Like, who am I going to support in this? And that was a mistake that I made for a while, as I took a side, and I wish.
Is that also just due to like the scenarios?
Yeah, it was due to the scenario
surrounding the divorce.
Mm-hmm. So then you pick a side, and you know, and now like family. I think I'll say this, for the first time in a really, really, really long time, I like my specific side of the family. I feel great. It's
good.
Like, I love my stepmom. My dad's amazing. I love my mom, my sister. Like, it's good. But it was a very, very long journey of like, sketchy biz.
Okay, I have more questions, but
okay,
let's take a
quick pause. Okay, so we're talking about, you know, my parents, us becoming parents. But you know what? There's not just parents of kids. We can talk about being parents of cats.
Oh my allergies. God.
Being a cat parent can be really rewarding, but it can also be messy and stinky and sneezy if you are using conventional store-bought litter. Well, hey, if you are a cat parent, what are you doing? Because the future of litter is here. It's Pretty Litter.
Pretty Litter is really cool. As a cat parent, I can say that. It's kitty litter reinvented, because unlike traditional litter, Pretty Litter's super light crystals trap odor and release moisture, resulting in dry, low maintenance litter that doesn't smell at all. We use it in our house and love it. And Pretty Litter also spares my sanity and storage space, because it's shipped in a small, lightweight bag that lasts an entire month. There's no more bulky containers or frequent trips to the store. I mean, I just hate. Sometimes I would even get litter shipped, but it comes in a giant box and it's spilling out of the box already. There's little crumbles of litter that are coming out all over my front porch.
Scattered around
the house.
Litter
is just neat, and it does really last quite a long time.
And Pretty Litter is virtually dust-free, like you're saying, those little particles, because it's manufactured with a specialized de-dusting process. Hey, this saved my dad and sister's life, seriously. They were so allergic to the family's cat litter. It was a nightmare. But now with Pretty Litter, everyone is happy and not sneezing their lives away. But
speaking of saving lives.
I know, seriously, speaking of saving lives, this is why Pretty Litter is a pet parent's hero. It's a health indicator. Pretty Litter monitors cats' health by changing colors when it detects potential underlying disease. You will not find this kind of innovation in conventional cat litter.
No, and as a cat parent that had dealt with a kidney infection with our dear departed cat, this is actually something that's so important. So if you own a cat, you have to try Pretty Litter. Make the switch like I did today. You just go to prettylitter.com and use promo code CHATTY for 20% off your first order. That's prettylitter.com, promo code CHATTY.
Okay, so I personally may not live with a cat currently, but I do live with a husband, and I do know what was super stressful about making him my husband, and that was planning the wedding.
I can't imagine.
Oh my God. And I'm not alone. In a recent survey, 96% of couples think that planning their wedding was stressful, and 86% suffered stress-induced symptoms like insomnia, breakouts, and lower sex drive. Broads, I felt these things, and I so wish when I was planning my wedding years ago that I would have had Zola.
Zola makes wedding planning easier and less stressful with wedding websites, I love the wedding websites. Whenever somebody has one, it makes life so much easier.
So much easier.
Registry, invites, and a guest list manager all in one place. And Zola has free wedding website designs with hundreds of gorgeous designs for every style. They make it easy to create your site in minutes with features like an online RSVP page, so people actually RSVP.
Yes.
A place where guests can shop your registry right on your site. Very convenient. And Zola actually has the highest rated registry of all time, where you can register for gifts, experiences, honeymoon funds.
Love it.
Love the options. You can add gifts from other stores or sync existing registries too.
Zola also has beautiful, affordable invites in paper. Fam, the invites are normally so expensive to deal with, and Zola makes it so affordable and easy. You can shop your whole paper suite there, and my most favorite feature, Zola will help you collect addresses and track online RSVPs with their free guest list manager. Dealing with RSVPs is a nightmare, and like Becca was saying, I know myself, sometimes I don't actually RSVP because I forget to send it back, so having it online is amazing, and Zola is like that faithful friend who will do it for you and not hang it over your head afterwards.
Zola has helped 1 million couples get married. It sounds like I will also be using it at some point in the future, 15 years from now. They'll help you too. Go to zola.com/chatty today and use promo code SAVE50 to get 50% off your save the dates. You can also get a free personalized paper sample before you purchase. That's 50% off save the dates at Zola, ZOLA.com/chatty, promo code SAVE50 with a 50, SAVE 50. I want to make sure people get that code.
Beautiful. Yes. Zola is everything. Okay. So can I ask about your background here?
Oh, wait. I had a quick question for you real quick.
Okay.
What were you involved in high school?
Oh, you mean like my
extracurriculars?
My extracurriculars.
Were you a good student? What was your GPA?
I was a good student.
Yeah, of course you were.
You know.
What was your GPA?
I got over a 4.0.
Oh, no. You were taking the APs?
I was obnoxious. I was obnoxious in high school and in college.
Did you, I know people are going to want to know this too. Did you drink or do any kind of drugs in high school?
I did not.
Did you in college?
I did.
When you turned 21?
I waited until I turned 20. No, actually, no, that's a lie. I started to drink about 2 months before I turned 21. I was like, fuck this shit. I was trying to be
the difference?
I was trying to be so like, I am a rule follower. I need to make sure that I am living correctly. And about like 2 months beforehand, I started to drink.
Okay.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
But never really the drug thing, just because of my anxiety. I was always like very anxious and had like depressive episodes. Ended up finding out that I was bipolar. We have an episode about that. But
yes, what is it? Bipolar
bipolar
disorder and the broads?
Yes, I think so. Or bipolar disorder. I don't remember.
Google Chatty Broads bipolar disorder if
it'll come up. So with the drugs I was always a little nervous about and still am because of some of my mental things. It makes me a little sketchy.
Whenever I start having anxiety, I convince myself that I've somehow been drugged. And I started spiraling.
Sure.
So I totally get
it. Someone sent us a question asking about weed for both of us because they were like, we know that like we think Becca enjoys weed sometimes.
I think I worked on a weed farm. Of course, I smoke weed. Yeah, have smoked weed.
I'm going to try it again.
So after I give birth and stuff, we gotta have like a YouTube video.
We'll do a YouTube
where
episode.
I like make Jess smoke weed. It's legal in California.
I have only had a few experiences with marijuana, and it made me insane because I smoked the blunt. Did you say it's blunt?
Well, it depends on what it is.
Nothing
was it a joint or was it a blunt?
It was a joint.
Okay.
I smoked it like a cigarette.
Oh yeah, you're just
the
puffing
whole
away.
thing.
You don't want to do that.
I did the whole thing, and apparently it was very like it's like medical grade high. And I lost
stuff
my
is
mind.
Strong these days.
Yep.
You know, that's.
I was like, is it normal to be seeing things? I was having like full, So that didn't help with my anxiety, and I haven't.
No,
really
and then
done
you start
it
being
since.
like, is my heart rate irregular? I'm not breathing. I'm not fully breathing.
No,
in.
I thought I was gonna have to go to the hospital, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get taken to the hospital. And they're gonna arrest me. Like, it was the whole thing.
Classic.
So I'm ready now to try it.
Well, I'll help curate like
and the
a
broads
responsible
might see me
experience.
having an absolute mental breakdown.
No, I think that the thing is I mean, I would smoke a lot of weed when I was in high school to the point of like you're trying to trip and smoke as much as you can to get as high as you can. But when you're an adult, you want to smoke weed like you're having a glass of wine. You just do a little bit of this here. You got to curate the experience slowly. Just a little, get a little THC vape, take a little puff. You can take the edge off. We don't need to be shooting off to another planet.
See, that sounds nice to me. I'm not into shooting off
take
to
the
another
edge off
planet.
your anxiety. You got to also make sure what strain you're smoking.
Yes, all these things, which I did not know anything about. But no, I was in high school. I mean,
Oh yeah, tell us about your extracurriculars.
I don't know if I would have liked me in high school, to be honest.
Really?
I'm nice. I was always very nice, and I was always like kind to other people.
I'm nice.
So fucking nice. It's crazy.
People are like, well, we just listened to your guys' recap on Tuesday, and I have
you don't sound nice, bitch.
No, you are very nice.
But I've never been like a mean person, and I love people, and I like making friends and all that. So I had friends, but I was definitely like, I was a goody two shoes. I guess that's the best way to put it.
What were your extracurricular activities? Do you play sports?
Oh, absolutely not. No sports, all theater. Theater and music.
What was your best role that you played?
Well, my favorite role was I was the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, and in the version of it, the Cheshire Cat is the narrator and is like kind of sexy and dark and like comes in and like does weird.
Jess, I can totally see this.
And I lived for it.
That's great.
I also liked gosh, we did a lot. One of my favorite like moves that I made was I was cast as Maria in The Sound of Music, and I said, absolutely not. I must play the Baroness. Oh yes, because I like to be the villain.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's because I was so not that way in real life, but I felt that in my Scorpio moon, that I felt like a villain deep inside sometimes, and I needed to get it out.
Girl, I don't know about the Scorpio moon, but my first role and my favorite role was when I was 10, and I played Cruella de Vil in the community production of 101 Dalmatians. And when I say it was my dream role, Glenn Close had nothing on me.
10-year-old Becca.
There's this song.
There were literally 101 children cast.
No, but the crazy thing was it was a community production, so it was like actually in like the city hall theater, and we had like real makeup art. I had my own dressing room. With my name on the door, and I had had little photos up in there that I had decorated. I did a photo shoot that was in the newspaper. Like, my God. When I'm telling you, it was a community production. Yeah, and there was one part where I was like in the audience, and I was like, "My beautiful coat," and I had this whole song, and there's a DVD of it somewhere. It was actually insane, and you would be so proud of me because I'm sure it was your dream role too. I mean, it is your dream role. Are you kidding
me, Cruella? That's everything to me. Wow. Oh my. We have to dig up some of these videos because I'm sure they would be very fun to post.
You're also the perfect Baroness. I mean,
I loved being the Baroness. I was very uncomfortable in one role. What was it? I forget. There was one role where I was the lead, and then the guy that was cast opposite me, it was in a community play, and I was 18 and he was like 45.
Oh, no.
And we had to like kiss, and I remember being so uncomfortable.
You are 43, going on 44.
It was something like that, and I was just like, I was so wigged out. Oh no.
That's gross.
But nightmare. There was no.
Because the dream is always that you get cast alongside someone you think is really hot, and you get to mac on stage.
Of course. That was the best.
Theater romance.
That was the best. I did have a stalker at that point in my life. Who would go and watch me in the theater, and he'd be up in the wing like the Phantom, and it was very creepy.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine now.
Was he actually stalking you?
Kind of.
Yes.
So when I was a freshman in high school, there was this guy, and he was a senior, except he looked like he was in his later 40s.
One of those.
Yeah.
You're like, how many times have you failed the junior year?
No, it was literally one of those things where you're like, oh. And then I remember he was so like hairy. I was he's a man.
And only senior who's old enough to rent a car.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
so
know what
weird.
it is, but like he owns real estate. I'm confused, but yet here he is. And for some reason, but he would never speak to me, and he wouldn't talk to anybody. And he always had his sunglasses on, so I like never knew what his eyes looked like. And when I was a freshman, his friends used to like harass me and like call me like by weird nicknames, but he would never talk to me, and they would like harass me
and he was just like,
and he'd stand in the back and act embarrassed. But then during like breaks, he would slip mixed CDs and love notes into my locker like once a week, and it was very creepy. And then he asked...
And you were a freshman?
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
It was very scary. And then he asked the... The dark part is that the mix CDs, he only listened to German death metal. So I turned them on and they'd be like, Franz Einfort.
Remember that song that was like, du hast.
Yeah.
Du hast me. I'm sure he put that on there.
He had Rammstein, Skinny Puppy. He did all these really creepy things. So I'd like put them in and I'd be like, ugh, and I'd try to like understand. I'm like, is he going to kill me? And
what's the message?
I'm doing it backwards.
You're like trying to combine all the letters of the track titles to try to see if they're
mixing them around.
The Zodiac
Jessica
Killer
had strings, like going through. I was like, all right, my closet was just like all him. But then he asked me. I remember to homecoming my freshman year through the drama teacher because he like was friends with the drama teacher. And so she was like, you should go with him. He asked me and she like delivered the flower. And I was like, no, I don't feel comfortable. And she kept like bugging it.
So did you go?
No,
oh, thank God.
No. But then what started to happen was every production, because he knew the drama teacher, he would sit up above in the wings where the person would be doing the lights. And so I could see him when I would do the play, like in the corner, and he would send love notes down to my dressing room.
I'm horrified. How did you shake this guy? Did he graduate and leave?
He graduated, but he continued to find any sort of AIM scream name, no matter like how many times I block him, to come and like start messaging me. And he did it all the way actually through my sophomore year in college.
What was your AIM screen name? Just a side note question.
Anything Genuine XX.
What does that mean? Why?
Because
so genuine and real. XX 1988.
I wish. There was a song from this band called Small Town Poets, which was like this Christian band.
Yeah, I know.
And the song is like, I'll take anything genuine. And for some reason I had sexual feelings about this song. I don't know what it was, but the song like turned me on.
Jessica, I need to tell something real quick that has nothing to do with that, but you're talking about the song being sexual. I watched George of the Jungle for the first time in probably 15 years the other day.
Do you have sexual feelings towards Brendan Fraser?
In that movie, like, I realized that this was incredibly formative in my early years. Like, the scene where he's oiled up naked with a bowl over his junk. Have you seen this movie recently?
I haven't seen it in literally 15 years, probably.
Brendan Fraser in that movie is so fucking hot.
Oh my God.
And everything made sense when I gotta show you a picture real quick. Hold on.
I'm overeating. Brendan Fraser.
Dude, there's a part where he's like, because he's got like kind of long, scraggly hair, and there's this one part where he's like with the horses out in the corral, and it's like slow motion, and he is so hot. Okay, wait, let's see. Well, this scene, I found a gif of it.
Oh my God.
And he's like really, I mean, yeah, this is what he looks like when he has the bowl over his penis.
Oh, yeah,
he's so like
he's
hunky,
so
and it's so crazy. And I was like, oh, this has dictated my sexual preference with men throughout literally the rest of, like, from the hair
he does have
to
kind like a great thing with the long
shaggy
hair,
the sort of like nature guy kind of thing.
He dictated
kind of
all.
illiterate.
No, he doesn't really know how to speak.
You, I'm sure actually Ember would love it because that's the age I started watching it.
I'm sure she would love it.
It's on
George
Netflix, I think. You guys should really play it, and I need you to dive in as an adult and watch it.
Oh God,
it's pretty great. The stepmother is the role that, or the mother is the role that you need to play. There's this part where she threatens to nail his tongue. She's like, I'd rather have my tongue nailed to the table every morning than have you marry my daughter.
Oh, that's it.
So good.
That's it.
Anyway,
that's all I want.
Sorry to digress about that.
But yeah,
anything genuine XX.
Anything genuine.
It's actually
XX.
better than mine, which is Beck Cheer Girl 47.
It's cute though.
Embarrassing.
Well, mine was like emo.
Yeah,
it was very emo. I was a very emo, quietly emo kid. But that kind of goes in line with me needing to present myself a certain way and feeling a different way. I always felt very like a very emo kid, and I was very emotional, but I would hide it because I was like, oh, people don't like that. So I was like blonde and happy. And
were you like
whatever.
in leadership?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So high school, I like led the worship team at our church, our high school worship team. There was like a group of
Was
like...
this a private school? Did you go back to or public school?
No, sorry, church. So then at church, we like had a worship team that was like 5 or 6 of us kids that actually then the high school hired us to start coming and playing. So we felt very cool because we were like, wow, they heard us and they thought we were awesome. And Evan and I were on that together.
Sexy.
Romance. And then we used to hook up in his van where he used to put all of his drums in his van.
What kind of van did he have?
He had like an Astro van that was carpeted everywhere and had a bed in the back.
Oh,
so
actually
hot.
Really hot. If I was dating someone in high school with an Astro van with
and
a
it
bed
had
in the
one
back,
of those little
like,
TVs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Top notch.
One ticket to Pound Town, please.
In that Astro van with a little ladder hanging off the back. Yes. Yeah, and then I did leadership, and then I mean after I graduated high school, I remained in leadership at church for quite some time.
Oh no, I meant leadership at school. Did you guys not have leadership? Oh,
leadership at school. I did.
Were you
one
in public
year.
school?
No, I was private.
Okay. What was like your class sizes?
Small.
Like your graduating class was what like
150 kids, really small. I didn't really do a lot of leadership. I didn't like to like hang out with. I liked hanging out with my worship team, crew.
Were you very
church.
popular or no?
I wasn't not popular, but I wasn't popular.
Were you friends with a lot of people though? Were you like, or not really?
They were. I was very much like everyone was fine with me.
Yeah.
Like no one had a problem with me.
But would everyone know would everyone know who? Well, I guess it's a small school.
It's a small school, so everyone knows.
Everyone
know who I am.
Literally everyone's name in class.
But I definitely they had like the girls who were on the cheerleading squad were the popular girls, and I definitely was not a cheerleading squad girl.
Okay,
I was very much like my hair is dyed and I have one like dark black streak in the front, but like I act like I'm not emo, but inside I'm emo.
You were like church emo.
I totally was church emo.
Church slutty too.
I'd go, yep, totally. And I went to like all the Under Oath shows. I would go to like all the
God, that's
hardcore.
so funny because my first high school boyfriend, he was obsessed with Under Oath. He had a giant, he had a 1987 Mercedes and he had a giant Under Oath sticker on the back window. You probably would have loved him.
Oh yeah, I would go to every Under Oath show. I'd get in the pit. I'd get punched in the face all the time, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so hard. I have a black eye. Even though I would go home and cry because I'd be, it hurts.
Powdering it out.
But yeah, that was kind of, and then I became myself over the years. I don't know. Like I was a very weird I feel like people who knew me in high school would be like, I'm the same person, but like I act the same, but I'm just me now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a weird transition from college. I loved college.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like you really shined in college from what I've heard.
I loved college. I enjoyed college. I had so much fun.
I digressed immensely in college.
Did you?
Kind of, actually. I'll get into that. But college was not, yeah.
College. I hated high school. I felt very uncomfortable in high school. I didn't feel like myself. And then I went to college and I was kind of like, I like this. I liked being independent. I liked being on my own, having my own space. And I liked choosing my classes. And I liked that I could sit up front and people wouldn't make fun of me because people were paying money to go to college. And so people were taking it more seriously.
Yeah, that's real.
But I was involved in the same things at college like I was in high school. Theater, music.
By the way, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have questions about our Christian journeys, and we do get into this very deep on our episode called God and the Broads and a number of episodes following that. So, again, I don't know the episode number offhand, but if you Google Chatty Broads, God and the Broads, or like Chatty Broads Christianity.
We get deep into the Christianity piece.
You can get a lot more info on that part of each of our journeys.
Yeah. But I loved college. I fantasize about going back.
Do you? I honestly think sometimes that way about high school, which is kind of scary to admit.
I think it's like wherever
it's not
you
like
felt,
weird. Like
no, it's good memories. Like if I would have really good memories about high school, I'd fantasize about going back to high school.
I think it's just also a very specific time of your life that was formative in one way or another, and that's why you like look back on it.
Exactly.
You look back on it fondly. It's not like I would kill to go back to being 16 again. Like not really.
I was in my prime.
I don't really like actually want to go back, but I'd love to like maybe for a Saturday, go relive some memories and then come back to where I am now.
And I think a lot of my fantasies about it too are going back to college, being the more confident person I am today. Like I had so much fun.
What you know now into those experiences.
So much fun in college, but I was still like, and I was like, I'm not going to drink until I'm 21. And I was so nervous about still like following rules. And I still cared a lot about what people thought about me. If I could go back now, live on campus and just
rule the school.
Have a grand old time. I know it would be fantastic. Then did well in college.
Was that hard?
I graduated fast. I wish I wouldn't have done that. That was stupid.
What, in like 3.5 years or what?
I graduated in 3 years.
Shit, that's what my sister did too, you wild people.
I was just like, I want to be done because I know I'm going to marry Evan.
Yeah.
And
it's time to begin our real lives.
And I wish I wouldn't have done that because like, take your time.
Was that a difficult transition in like out of college into like the quote real world?
Yeah, it actually was really hard because there was like job regression was intense. And so finding a job in like the few years, there was like 2 years worth. I think it was in between like...
What was your first job? Sorry. Did you have a job before college or in high school or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Victoria's Secret.
Did you?
I did. I worked at Victoria's Secret.
Was that your first job?
That was my very first job.
How old were you?
16.
Okay, cool.
I would do like odd jobs here and there, but that was my first like proper job. And I worked there for a while. And then I worked at my parents' company for a while. And then I worked at a couple other retail stores. Johnny Was. Worked there for a while. Yeah. I mean, all retail. Never got into the food industry. Too stressful for me. Much too stressful.
I hate it. I hate it.
But yeah, and the transition out was hard because there was not a lot of jobs were really tough to get at that moment. People were like, I remember it was like specifically a really rough.
What year did you graduate?
2010.
Okay. So that was sort of all after the recession,
so
a couple
it was
years
like,
after.
Yeah, so it was just tough, and I ended up I was looking for jobs like crazy, but I got an internship out of college in a couple months after like working my ass off trying to find an internship, and I had an internship at a PR firm that was a fashion PR agency.
Cool.
And I was living in Dana Point, and I was driving to LA every day, and I would sit in traffic for like 4.5 hours every day, and it was crazy, but I loved it. And I worked there for a while, and I was like in the wardrobe there, and I had so much fun. And then I was like, what is this new world? And people would like go out afterwards and drink and have cigarettes and wear only black. And I'm like, who are these people? And I loved
these
everyone.
Creatures of the night.
Yes, and I loved them all. But then after that, I ended up working at a PR firm. They offered me a job, and it wasn't enough money to bring me to LA because I still had my boyf in Orange County. That's another thing that I regret. I mean, ultimately, Evan and I stayed together.
I know what you mean. You're like, I wish I would have gone off on my own for a little bit, experience the city life, just
exactly.
a single girl kind of thing.
Right. It's one of those things. If I would be giving my friend a recommendation or a younger girl, I'd be like, don't sacrifice potential work that you love for a relationship. If it's supposed to work out, it'll work out. Yeah. And I wish I would have gone up and started my career then in the fashion industry, and I loved it. And doing wardrobe styling, and the guy offered me then more because he really wanted me to stay there, and I just kept saying no. And then I took a PR job in Dana Point at a PR firm that I did not like. It was very like cookie cutter. It wasn't my vibe. I didn't feel like I was used well there at all, and I hated it. And it was just, you just have to find your place. And then I went back up to LA, started wardrobe again.
Boom.
Loved it. Obsessed.
You went back to LA after you guys got married?
Yes.
Okay.
But I was still then driving. Because we were still living in Orange County.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went back to like that crazy.
How old were you guys? How old were you when you moved to LA?
Oh, well, we didn't move to LA until after I had Ember. Officially. Oh. Yeah. So we got married.
That's right. You were in Orange when you got pregnant.
I was 23 when Evan and I got married. I was 27 when we had Ember. And we moved up to LA when Ember was like 6 months. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Fast forward now 4 years. So you guys been living in LA for only 4 years?
That's it.
Okay.
But we've both been working in LA for like 10.
Well, that's funny because I moved to Irvine in 2013 when I started going to school, and then I moved to LA proper think 2016.
Okay.
So kind of the same amount of time.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to hear more of Bekah's backstory.
Okay.
But Bekah, I will say this. You may not currently be having your period. We do know this since you are pregnant. When was the last time you had it? My goodness. It's been quite some time.
Lord only knows. I've had like one period in the past 2.5 years or whatever.
But guess what? I'm sure having my period, God, since I've had a child, it is a force to be reckoned with, this period. But my personal favorite uterine care product company is Lola. Lola is a female-founded company offering a line of organic cotton tampons, pads, liners, and all-natural cleansing wipes. Listen, if we care about the ingredients in the food we eat and the beauty products we use, why shouldn't the same be true of our uterine care products? Well, Lola's products are 100% natural, no mystery fibers or doubts about what you're putting into your body.
Lola makes your month a little bit easier by not only shipping directly to your door, but also allowing you to have a fully customizable subscription because you can choose your mix of products, mix of absorbency, number of boxes, frequency of delivery. You can choose all of that. And Lola's subscription is super flexible because you can change, skip, or cancel your subscription at any time. And Lola now offers cleansing wipes that are safe for use anywhere on the body. They're the first biodegradable, all-natural wipe of their kind, perfect for a midday refresh. And for every purchase with Lola, I love this part, they donate feminine care products to homeless shelters across the United States.
Nothing feels better than when I start that flow and think, oh no, I'm out of tampons and I am too crampy to want to leave my couch, and boom, my perfect Lola box shows up at my front door. And we have a deal for you. For 30% off your first month subscription, visit mylola.com and enter chatty30 when you subscribe. That's 30% off your first month subscription by visiting mylola.com and entering chatty30 when you subscribe. Okay, B. All right. How many brothers and sisters?
Okay, so my dad was married twice before my mom, and I also meant to ask you this.
Yeah.
When did is only one of your parents Christian or both? Just your mom?
My dad is no longer. My mom is.
When did each of them become Christians?
My mom became a Christian like right before I was born, and my dad became a Christian when I was 4.
See, this is really interesting because my parents too were not Christians growing up, which is actually both of our parents are very unique in that aspect.
Yeah.
So, my dad.
Were your parents wild?
So no, my dad. Well, I'm not going to give too much of their story just because I don't really have permission to talk about it publicly.
I'm like, I got a lot of info about my family. That's kind of crazy, but I just don't feel like
it's not. I don't think it's really like our stories to necessarily tell about them. I definitely have. It's
maybe one day if we get permission from our families to say certain things.
I'm not going to get it because there was like stuff I didn't find out till I was 18, and it's like
we have that in common. Yeah,
which is just Anyway, but my dad was married twice before, so my oldest brother is, I can't do the math. Josh is 30. I think my sister's the same age as you. So you're 31, right? Mm-hmm. I think Maddie's either 31 or 32. So Josh is 34 or 35. They're around there. Anyway, Josh is 34 or 35. My half brother, my sister's 31 or 32 for my dad's other marriage. And then my dad and my mom met when my mom was 17, and my mom was not raised in a Christian household. But she also wasn't she wasn't wild.
Okay.
She was like, I don't know. My mom also just doesn't talk too much about her background, but I know that she wasn't crazy.
Okay.
And for her own personal reasons, she was not doing drugs, not really drinking. She's just never really been like that.
It's just not her thing, sure.
And so anyway, my parents are both though the youngest of 5. Anyway, my parents got together, and then my dad became a Christian after my parents met at some point. My mom thought he was part of a cult. And my dad actually has quite a crazy story about someone basically prophesying over stuff that was going to happen. And that's kind of how my dad became a Christian.
Because the prophecies were correct?
It was basically I'll just tell it briefly. It's pretty interesting though. Basically he was in this, he was trying to sell an insurance policy to this guy. And this guy on a farm in the middle of nowhere. And my dad showed up. my dad had heard through like his other coworkers that this guy was a Christian guy. My dad's like, I was kind of raised Catholic, so like I'll be able to kind of bullshit my way through. And the guy basically like called him out on his shit immediately and was like, here's going on with your ex-wife and with your daughter, and I know it's really hard for you with them moving and like all this kind of shit that was going on, and this is gonna happen. And my dad was just like, what?
Oh my God.
And just got like really shook up about that and was like, what's the deal with all of this? Like just like literally started reading the Bible like on his own. And my dad had already always struggled with like dyslexia and struggled in school and stuff, and like he had prayed that God would help him understand like the Bible while he was reading it, and was able to like gain so much clarity and all this kind of stuff. And like my dad's conversion story is pretty powerful. And my mom thought he'd joined a cult and was like, what the fuck's going on? I'm not into this. And then eventually my mom became a Christian too. They got married. They broke up actually, because they were like, our relationship is sinful and we can't.
Oh yeah.
We can't.
Hot.
And then they ran into each other at a Christian bookstore like 10 months later. Ended up getting back together and got married a year later. Anyway, so then they, my big brother and sister were pretty much always a part of like our household, and I didn't even know what a half brother and sister was. So I know this is different in different families, but my mom was always like, that's your brother and that's your sister. And I just didn't really know any better until of course like some asshole little family friend was like, she's not your sister, she's your half sister. And I'm like, what?
Sad.
I don't really know what that means. Like I know Maddie goes and visits her mom.
Did that
but
like mess you up, or did you
not
feel
really?
like,
I was just like, no, she's my sister.
Yeah.
So I grew up with like, I don't really even like differentiating, but it's good to point out that they are my half siblings. And I am what I call the oldest of the young ones. So I was born February 10th, 1995. And then I have a younger sister that's 2 years younger than me, Rachel, and a little brother that's 4 years younger than me, Joel. So Josh, Maddie, Rebecca, Rachel, and Joel. Our little family of 7.
So you are smack dab in the middle.
But that's why I say the oldest of the young ones, because my older siblings, one, they were like around their respective parents half the time. And then 2, like there was such a big gap when they were like moving out and doing their own thing.
You felt like the oldest.
Well, I have like the oldest personality. Sure. Like I don't really have a lot of the middle complex that like people. My sister has a middle complex for sure. Sorry, Rach.
Evan does too.
Calling you out. Those weirdo middle children cannot relate.
I love a middle child.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Fresno, California. Was homeschooled K through 5th, private school 6th through 8th, homeschooled 9th and 10th, public school 11th and 12th. So it was all around the block.
Okay. So you started in homeschool.
Yeah.
So that's all that you knew.
I always had this fantasy, because like obviously I was reading books. I was like, I wish I still read like I did like in 5th grade. I would like sit and read a book for like 10 hours and I was obsessed with reading.
It's like binging through Nancy Drew like 75 books later.
Oh my God. And scaring myself shitless before bed reading Nancy Drew.
Going down the 99 steps. Just like,
the second book, that's the scariest one.
It's so scary.
There's the gorilla mask in the window is terrifying.
Spoiler.
Maybe we should start doing Nancy Drew recaps. Man, Ember's gonna love if you start reading those out loud. She's gonna be horrified, and she's gonna love them.
She loves the horror, she
and
loves
the mystery.
Being scared.
Oh yeah, I was obsessed. I'd collect those.
So you'd read books about the outside world.
Oh well, so yeah, basically, and since we were really involved in church, like I'd go to Wednesday night and we'd do Sunday morning. So I had all my church friends, and they were all in public school, So it wasn't like totally sequestered off, but like I had those friends, and like I'd also do little community like soccer teams and stuff like that. So I was like, I was literally romanticizing like I'd love to have a lunchbox one day to take to school.
Oh my God.
And so on the days when we had
cutest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, Jess. So on the days of homeschool co-op, I would be like, gotta take my lunchbox and like, here's my backpack with my binders in it. Cause like I'm going to school. And it was like also like,
oh my God.
It was also, I'm like, I gotta get a pencil box like for school.
It's kind of cool cause it like created like an excitement for school that maybe
so fun.
Some of us who just started from like the get-go were like, well, even though I will say there was nothing better than getting your new folders and like pencil box every year. Like,
no, but like the one day a week where then we'd have worksheets or tests, I was like, Mom, I've got to do my homework. And I was like, it was so fun. until 6th grade. Then I went to school and I was like, this shit sucks. And I'd cry every morning and beg not to go to school. My mom was like, you said you wanted to go to school, and so we're committing. You are finishing out this year.
Fail. Yeah.
She's like, not to mention we paid the tuition already, so you have to stay for the year.
Well, I know you were a good student.
Yeah, I was. I'm little Miss Know-It-All. I'm trying to think if there's anything from elementary school age. Asked Jesus into my heart, I think in kindergarten, and I got a little certificate saying that I was saved.
Did you continue to ask him into your heart over and over again?
Of course, every few years, like you said, to check up on to make sure I was still saved.
Not going to go to hell this year.
A lot has changed in my heart over the past few years, and I really don't know if we're still good. So better do that at Vacation Bible School again. Did you do VBS?
Oh, absolutely. Vacation Bible School. Anyone out there? Dino? Anyone? Singer Dino? He would cover like Beatles songs. And instead of like help, he'd be like, pray. I need some Jesus, pray.
Yeah. Damn. Oh, yeah. Wasn't I supposed to that?
He was a rock star. I was like, take your shirt off, Dino. He was like some 45-year-old dad.
Throwing your training bra. That's so funny. Yeah, I had a lot of little weird homeschooling friends. No, some of them are like Taylor, who you met. With some of my best friends are we were homeschooled together from like 4 or 5 years old. A couple of my other friends are from church, and day oneers from like age 3 or 4, who I'm still very close with. And so I had like my little homeschooling friends. Yeah, then I went to private school. I was instantly obsessed with being like in the in crowd.
Okay.
That was my personality.
So when you were in private school, were you like you were asking me, was I involved in like ASB or like?
Well, like in private school, so like in junior high, I was like, I was in leadership there, and then I'd like try to do some of the sports, but because I didn't have like the K through 5th background of like playing volleyball, I was always horrible, and I wouldn't end up playing, and then I was in cheer, which I loved.
Were you good?
Well, my mom didn't want me to be in it the first year because like cheerleaders were always the girls who were mean to her, and so she didn't want me to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't that good in it. I was horrible at tumbling and all that, but I had
bet
so
you
much
so cute
fun.
In that outfit.
Oh my God, I had so much spirit. And I was just like so obsessed with being like in the in crowd. I remember like I would save up my money for like a knockoff Juicy Couture purse.
Okay.
And I was just like obsessed with being like that, like part of the in, like I said, the in crowd, part of the cliques and all that. And then I don't know why, but like freshman and sophomore year, I was just kind of like, I don't want to like have to go to school for 8 hours a day anymore. Like this kind of sucks. And I want to be homeschooled. And then my plan was to just like basically get all my classes out of the way, being homeschooled.
And then to just reign supreme as social queen.
Basically, yeah. I wanted to go back and like be able to do the dances and all the fun public school stuff.
Yeah.
But also skip the shitty freshman and sophomore year in public school. Right?
Yeah. Freshman year was horrible. Oh, Lord.
So instead I went back to being homeschooled, and I had a blast. I was part of a homeschool speech and debate team. And some of my friends in that like lived up in because Fresno is actually really close to the mountains. So they like lived up in the hills, and they like all snowboarded, and there was like some really cute boys. And so I'd get to go up snowboarding for them
babes.
During the weekdays because everyone was in school and we were homeschooled. So, and I was I started climbing when I was 9 or 10, and then started competing in that too. And so then when I was homeschooled again, I started climbing again.
I didn't know you were that young when you started to climb.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty young. And I was on the youth team. And then, freshman and sophomore year, I was climbing a lot while I was homeschooled. And a lot of my like team members were also homeschooled. But that was I look back on those years, and that was really fun because it was like a lot of like activity, and it was the first time where I also felt like athletically competent, which I never felt like that before. And then I was like, I'm killing it climbing. I can snowboard. It was just a really fun time. I had my first long distance secret boyfriend because I wasn't allowed to date.
Yes.
And he lived on the coast. And when I would go visit Taylor and her family because they moved to the coast, I would always see him.
Oh my God. He's so cute.
Not really.
Neither was
and also I remember the first time we kissed, and I was like, is this it? Like what people talk about? That was really gross, actually. Like he used too much tongue, and it was just like,
I didn't have a magical first kiss at all. Yeah,
and I was kind of like,
you're like, do
you remember? Really like kissing.
This is like so. I don't know, maybe excess information. But do you remember like the way that your first kiss tasted?
No, and then sometimes I will smell
it.
someone who wears the same like axe or whatever, and it kind of like brings everything back. We were also watching the movie The Beach with like Leonardo DiCaprio, which was pretty intense too. And I was just like, my mom doesn't really let me watch shit like this, but okay.
She's like, Mom doesn't let me watch it like this, and I'm about to kiss a boy. This is getting
we were in his garage. He had like a couch and a TV in his garage. His parents were very worldly. You know, they allowed us out there on our own. I was like 13.
Oh my God.
And we kissed, and I was like, that was really gross. I remember the feeling of like his tongue in my mouth, and it was slippery and like, just really not pleasant.
Yeah, I think my first kiss, like I still remember the taste of it, and it's kind of scarred me a little bit. Like he had been eating like a weird salad, and I could remember tasting it. Yeah, and then but he had put a mint in, and it was like the combo of that. And I like still every once in a while like remember that taste, and I'm just
stomach
like,
is turning right now.
Sorry, everyone.
Dude,
it was
that's
so gross. Yeah.
I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I had better ones later.
Well, that's the thing. So I didn't kiss anyway. I think for maybe like a couple years because I was homeschooled.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, that wasn't really something that, I don't know.
You were like, that wasn't like the best thing that ever happened to me. So.
Right. Yeah. And also like homeschool people didn't really like, it was like very serious if like people in the homeschool group started dating, like they were courting and like their parents were like convinced they were going to get married and all that kind of thing.
You had a hope chest.
Yeah. And also just like guys were a little bit different where like no guy was going to ask me out at the homeschool group.
I hear you on that one.
Even though there were some guys that I wanted to. There was definitely some hotties, homeschool hotties.
But they just wouldn't ask. They wouldn't ask.
No, and there was never like a social situation besides like cotillion or like whatever that you were going to be.
I was always crossing my fingers that one of them when I was homeschooled would ask me out on a date, and none of them ever did.
I had like definitely fantasies that we'd go snowboarding and then we'd go off on our own on a run and then like would maybe kiss under this
Did you live in a lot of fantasy life in your head?
Definitely when it came to my romantic life.
Okay.
Like, yeah. I'd be like, we'd go camping with family members and be like, maybe the guy in the campsite next door, like he and I will bump into each other and then we'll sneak off at night and like make our own fire in the woods. Like all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you like ever lay in bed at night and like get excited to go to bed because you'd know that would be your time where you could close your eyes and start to like
just
fantasize?
Lay it all out. Like I definitely had whole storylines with certain people or even imaginary people that were for sure going to unfold one day.
Yes.
The right scenario just had to come around.
Oh, I loved going to bed because I would just be like, I'm about to dive deep into my fantasy world.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
So then when you went back to school, to public, were you a little party animal?
Well, like at first it was really weird because I literally didn't know anyone. Okay. And so that was really weird. Like you're going in junior year to a public school and
that
like
is
no
pretty
one.
Intense.
Also, my school was really big for like Fresno. Like it was or for Clovis actually is where we were. I went to Clovis High and it was like probably like a 2,500 person school.
Oh my gosh.
So pretty big.
Yeah, that's really big.
So I'm like,
oh,
shit. But what happened was the first week they had auditions. And I have to tell you, the theater department at Clovis High, anyone who lives in the Clovis area, had one of the best theater departments where like the drama teacher, she would like make sure if we had a period like if it was in the 60s, she'd be like, no, Neil Simon wrote this play in 1963. Those glasses that you got, those started around in the late 60s in like 1967.
Whoa.
We will not be having those on the set. Like she was crazy like that, down to like the buttons on the coats, like making sure. She was.
This is her life.
Meticulous.
Amazing.
It was her calling, and she somehow had the patience to put up with high schoolers doing drama productions. So anyway, I auditioned and basically like I got the part, and then
what was the part?
It was for a Neil Simon play called Barefoot in the Park, and I was Corey.
In the Park.
So
it was kind of a dream role.
You were Corey. It was kind of a dream role.
I love that play.
It's so good.
So good.
It really is. And it's so cool because it's like got 4 characters and that's the whole show. It was a really good show.
So you coming in, you score the 1 of 4 part.
Also, around the same time, I've talked about this before, but my very first like real little romance love thing was this guy who's in leadership. He was kind of like he was also part of something called ISC, which basically meant he was like in a leadership coalition for the whole camp, like with all kids from other schools. Like he was that.
Wow. Okay.
He was very involved. huge on the volleyball team, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he noticed me and then was like, I want to go to Sadie's with her. And then one of my little friends told me. So all of that kind of put me in a great position moving into that year.
So you were able to start off junior year with a bang.
Yes.
Get popular pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, things went well the first year for sure. And then beginning of my junior year was when my grandfather was murdered. So that was also, it's a weird thing to go through then when you're 17, because you're like aware and then you're also not. And you're also like a selfish teenager and you're just kind of like, well, my mom's really depressed and I kind of get to do whatever I want. So this is kind of cool. And there's just how did
it affect you like at that point?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of this weird thing where like, I don't know, you're in a weird, it was very traumatic and there's a lot that I still unpack now about that time and experience. But then like there's a lot of it that where you're just a fucking 17-year-old.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're like, this is, I mean, I don't know. You go through like mourning periods and there are times when things, it's like any grieving though too, where like there are times where things are the worst. And then that same night, you're like, well, I'm going to go out with one of my friends and we're going to go to a show and I'm going to have the best time.
Right.
And then the next weekend, this is going to happen. It's going to trigger. I'm not going to be able to stop crying for like several hours. And it's just like you're in such a weird transition and then going through something like that. And then also having everyone know in your school and in your city and all of that. It's very weird to navigate, and I honestly like don't really remember what that was. I don't remember a lot of like how it played into my life. I more remember like the fun aspects of that part of my life. So like, I remember, I don't know. I remember stuff with like my before my boyfriend became my boyfriend, and like the things that we did together. And I remember sneaking up with like all of my friends like 3 days after it happened, and we drove up to my grandparents' like house up in the mountains and we like broke in, and then I was like crying, but then we were also like getting stoned and watching The Lion King up in one of the living rooms, and then I would be going and sitting. It was just like it was weird. It was really weird.
I think especially when you are younger too, like, and even I guess you don't even have to be younger, but just there is a process in grief that is like, I guess, the denial process that I think sometimes looks different for different people.
Yeah. And
I know, like, for instance, when my parents were going through their divorce, which is not nearly as traumatic as a murder, but I was at school, and if you were to ask me, like, what was going on with my parents, I literally told them, like, while they were processing through the divorce, I was like, I'm moving out, and I lived in my grandparents' house, and I basically threw parties every single night because it was like an empty house. And I was just getting like drunk every single night and partying my face off. And I have like a lot of fun memories. And it was during a time that was
That's what I'm saying. I kind of have like a lot of fun memories too.
So it's kind of strange. Yeah. You can deal with these like traumatic things or these like, difficult times in your life. And it must be the denial piece.
I think
because does it affect you like? Did it affect you in a much different way later in life?
I think like when you also have like it was unexpected. It's not like quite the same as like when someone has cancer and they're on their way out and you have like you're dealing with that for months. Like not that it's any better or worse, but when something happens, and also my grandpa was 59, so like that's really, really, really young.
So young.
Really young, especially now that my dad's like almost that age, and I'm like, whoa, that's so much. He has so much life ahead of him, and so when that kind of thing happens, it's like it also just like doesn't feel real. So you're just like always sort of expecting a call, or like always, I mean, it feels like that a lot with loss, but I think specifically when it's so sudden and jarring, it's just kind of, you're like thrust into a weird new world and you think it's all going to kind of go away and go back to normal. And then it doesn't. And then I think it does hit kind of later on. But you're also at a stage when you're 17 that you're transitioning out of high school and you're thinking about college and you're having, you're falling in love. And there's also so much going on that you also like don't really have time to process. And so there's just like, you're already in a state of transition. And so you're just kind of always in this weird trajectory, sort of trying to navigate forward in a weird way. So, but yeah, like I said, that's not really like, I mean, that was definitely a really major moment, but actually, no, I don't remember a lot from that summer. I definitely know I did start smoking weed around that same time. And when I eventually got caught smoking weed, I tell my parents, like I blamed it. I was like, it's because he died. And like which wasn't like really true. I started smoking weed before it happened. But I also think it was part of it because like I don't actually remember much of that summer, and I was honestly so fucking stoned that whole summer. And like I said, my parents didn't really give a shit. My parents were super strict before then, where like I wasn't really able to like hang out with boys or anything like that. And then my parents kind of weren't paying attention.
Yeah, of course they were
dealing what was going on with me.
Yeah.
And also having younger siblings that I think I would literally just like leave in the morning, and me and my friends would like drive up to the lake or the mountains or a friend's house, and we would just be stoned all day. We'd go to the movies and be stoned. And I just don't like really remember that summer too well. And then senior year, but also junior year, like I was in mock trial. There was just like a fucking lot going on. Mm-hmm. And then, I was very heavily involved in mock trial. I fucking loved it.
Oh, so fun.
It was really cool. And we also like went to the state championships like that my senior year, which was so cool. And yeah, just like, and I fell in love my senior year, like really fell in love the first time. And
it was big. Those were big years for you in your like own personal life, and then you have this like traumatic thing that happens.
Yeah, totally. I think those 2 years were like some of the most formative because I was stepping away and like starting to do my own thing and forge my own path and make my own decisions, and I felt very comfortable making my own decisions for myself. Yeah, between like, you know, experimenting with certain things, having sex. I think I lost my virginity my senior year. That was like a whole ass mess too, which I've talked about before, because I lost my virginity to a guy I didn't like. Then I regretted it. And then like 5 hours later, I was like, now I've got to sleep with the man I really love to try to like undo it and like do it right.
I didn't know it was your senior year. I was my senior year too.
Was it my senior year? Yeah, it was my senior year. And I don't know, just like all of that shit. And prom and theater and mock trial and like, and applying for college.
Yeah.
And like everything's like boom, 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 boom.
And then you went to college, or you took a break?
College. No, I went to college. Oh, but that summer before college, it was just like the summer of love, where it was just like, I mean, I think back on it, it's really like a movie montage where we were like skipping through the creek together, like holding hands and like
all the love.
Laying in the back of a truck bed in the middle of an orchard, looking up at the sky kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's all the love.
Just very romantic. Yeah, then I went to college, and then basically my boyfriend also moved. I went to UC Irvine. My boyfriend moved to Fullerton, and he was just kind of going to community college, and we just kind of like wanted to be together. We also didn't know anyone really, so it was just kind of us. And I didn't really like, I can sometimes be really reclusive if I don't like push myself, and I didn't really like instantly feel connected to any people. So I sort of like, I mean, I joined a sorority, but I also felt like I didn't click with a lot of the girls, and a lot of them were single and were always out drinking. I always forget
that you were in a sorority.
Yeah. And like, but I had my really serious boyfriend. So I was also like, hey, could go out and get drunk.
It's a weird thing when you have a serious relationship and you're starting something like college and they're not at the college with you. And you feel like...
But he also kind of was. Like, he lived really close by, and he wasn't really having his own college experience.
Okay, so he was coming in...
It's kind of just like us.
Okay.
Against the world. And, so I don't know. It was just different. And I was kind of like, I don't want to go out and party with them. Like, I just want to stay at home with my boyfriend. Like, I don't really want to go to this stupid party and, like, no, I'm not going to make out with any of these guys. And, these girls are kind of dumb, too. It was just, like... wasn't super into it. And then this summer when we were back home after freshman year, we broke up, and mostly because I was a huge bitch and I was really taking him and our whole relationship for granted.
It happens.
He broke up with me. Basically my sophomore year, I was just devastated, super depressed. And I don't know. College was like not really fun, and like the fun. And also I went to UC Irvine, which isn't necessarily known to be the most like fun school.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, commuter colleges have a different feel for sure in general, too.
Yeah. And then I moved back home after that year because I was just like, I need to go home. And I was able to get the pep back in my step and got a new boyfriend. I got a new boyfriend in Fresno. But that actually was like a weird transition point for me too. Like moving back to Fresno, I was only there for 10 months, but I like had my boyfriend and he was like part of the worship team, but then also had friends that were like literally he took me to a trap house one time.
Oh shit.
Where there was like guns in bags and like pit bulls and like bags of cocaine on the kitchen counter in a studio in downtown Fresno. And I was like,
you're like, I am confused.
I smoke weed, but this like really isn't my vibe. And these guys were like, you know, those little things that would go like, that you stand on?
Yeah. Oh my God.
They were like rolling around the pit bulls. There's like a mattress on the floor. And I'm just like, what's happening?
Holy shit.
So I was kind of like in this whole new world with that boyfriend in a way. Like, not that we were doing that kind of thing a lot, but it was also
a different feel.
It was really fun because then he had like, my parents would go out of town and we'd like drive my dad's like really nice Mercedes around town and we would like go out to fancy dinners and like,
oh my God.
It was really fun. You know, it was just like a different experience that I hadn't really had.
But then when you broke up with him.
No, then I moved to LA and I like started telling everyone in Fresno, I'm moving to LA in 5 months. I'm moving to LA in 4 months. And I didn't have any plans. I was just like, I'm going to do it. And then we both moved to LA. He still lives here actually. And and then we were together when I was in LA for like a year or so. But I made a point when I moved to LA, I was like, I will make friends and I will push myself. But he was also like very social, so it was like a lot easier for us to like branch out and like I was very intentional.
Was like the previous
I was like, I'm not going to let that happen again.
Not gonna let that happen. Yeah.
I got my nanny jobs. I had been nannying all through Fresno and in Orange County. Anyway, so that's pretty much my life. Fast forward to then going on The Bachelor, which was, so I broke up with him, and then pretty shortly after I got with this other guy. And then like 5 months later, we broke up. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to meet Peter. Yeah, Peter, I forgot. Another Peter. I was like, I'm going to go meet Peter Cross, and I'm going to go to the open casting.
Peter with the Gap.
Peter with the Gap, too. So I went to the open casting, and then everyone else pretty much knows the story from there.
Well, speaking of Bachelor, before we have to do a couple more sponsored conversations and then take some cues from the audience, can we discuss the Maddie white savior situation? Speaking of Bachelor, I feel like this is a good transition.
I didn't really talk much about my church journey, but I was pretty heavily involved, especially in youth group in junior high and in early high school. And funny enough, we used to do Mexico mission trips every year.
We did too.
But right when I was about to get old enough to do the Mexico mission trips, all the cartel shit started going down.
Oh, so they stopped.
So they stopped doing the Mexico mission trips. So what we had actually do was actually a much less problematic version of that where I'm actually kind of down with this. We would do something called I Heart Fresno, and we would go sleep at the church for a week. And then we would go volunteer at local things around town.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
and we'd
really
like
cool.
volunteer at the YMCA and like put on like after school day camp things.
That's
and
really
so we
cool.
were doing stuff in the community. So that's kind of what I ended up doing.
Okay, so you didn't end up going.
But I knew the culture where it was like, and I also knew how many of my friends like wanted to be missionaries. And my mom was very involved in like missionary culture. And it was like, you know, that is like, you are the ultimate Christian if you go to Africa and like live at an orphanage and serve the children. Like that is how you are being a real Christian when you're out there doing that.
Well, and that's the thing. So I think for someone like Maddie, for instance, or a lot of people that are raised in the church, including myself, that there is this piece where you are told that this is the best way that you can help people. So I think a lot of people go in like with genuine intent thinking like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's not this thing of like, I'm going to go save everyone. It's literally like, this is what's going to be helpful. This is what my pastor says is helpful. My parents say is helpful. So this is what I'm going to do. And you go in and
why don't we talk to your experience a little bit.
So I did Mexico every year. We would help build a house. And I'll say this, my Mexico missions trips had two two parts to them. One, hookup central.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because everyone was intense and there was like only like 2 or 3 adults who were, you know, making sure that we were not leaving our tents, and mama got busy. So that was part of my Mexico mission trip. But then the other part was definitely feeling, and this is just me being fully transparent. It's dark, but it's true. Me feeling superior. I did.
Well, and fulfilled, I think.
Yeah,
where you're
but fulfilled in like a superior way, where it was very much like, and I don't mean superior in the sense of like, I am so much better than all of you. It was literally kind of like I am doing this, me for them. And that's kind of how I looked at it for most of my high school.
Wow, that's pretty, I mean, I think that the way that I felt, I felt like, I always felt really on fire for God after. So I'd be like, this is what it truly means to serve the Lord. And I really believe that I am like sacrificing my time, and I'm sacrificing what I would normally everyone else in spring break is going on vacation. I am serving, and like, this is being a true servant. Yeah. And like, I am truly helping these people.
And I would say that.
Yeah.
But if I'm being fully honest about like what was going on inside, it was very much like I feel good about myself because of this. Not I bet God is so happy with me right now. And that was a struggle for me too, because I felt like I saw people around me who felt like very much like, I feel like God is so pleased with what I'm doing. And I didn't feel that connection. It was very much like I did good. And it was cocky.
Box checked.
No, literally. And it was kind of like, and I think a lot of it too has to do with just my personality kind of in my family, of like, I never kind of felt like I was able to like be what maybe my family wanted me to be. So when I would do these things, it would kind of be like, see, look at how much I helped. And I would always be very involved with it. So I'd make sure that like, even though I was doing the hookups, I was, you know, leading everything, and I was helping plan beforehand and getting all the donations and doing all that. And I loved, don't get me wrong, when I was there, I loved being with the people. But if I'm being completely honest, there was a very weird piece of myself that I was feeling like, yes, I did this and I feel superior to perhaps the girl at my school who used her spring break to go get drunk and party. I feel better.
I think I definitely felt maybe like a bit of a classist superiority complex as well too, because I remember, I mean, even in Fresno is a very interesting like blend of community of like wealth and poverty, and so I remember like seeing moms drop their kids off at day camp, and like a lot of them couldn't speak English. So there's a lot of Spanish speaking neighborhoods in Fresno, and so it would sort of be like, I don't know, like, you are most likely like a non-Christian, poor, incompetent mother. Like, this child is probably low-key suffering, and like, this child is lucky to get to hang out around people who actually care for them like we do. And I definitely remember feeling that a lot too.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with that one for sure, because I know that I felt, well, we were from Orange County, so it was all very affluent. A lot of money, not like barely any diversity. At least I guess it's pretty much the same, but pretty much the same now. But
or it's diverse, but it's super segregated. So you got like Santa Ana, which no one goes to, and then you've got Costa Mesa.
Exactly.
Got, like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's very segregated. But I remember going to Mexico and being like, seeing like a mother with her kids and like helping build a home for the mother and the children. And instead of connecting with the fact of like what in that moment, what a privilege this is for me, I was kind of like, she can't do it, so we're going to. And not thinking, this woman lives day to day and takes care of these children as best she can. What am I fucking talking about? Or what am I saying in my head that I'm the one? She can't, so I can. My 16-year-old ass getting laid in the outhouses can? Like, come on. Not really in the outhouses.
Also,
but.
like, I think that, and people don't like to hear this part, but if we're evaluating what these missions trips look like, you are sending, how many people would you think go in your group?
It was typically like 20, 25 people.
I'm guessing everyone had to raise their funds.
Yes.
So I don't know how much, but maybe $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you've got 25 kids. Let's be conservative and say $1,000 each.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a little more than that, but
let's be conservative. Let's say $1,000 each.
$1,000 each.
And there's $25,000. And that money is being spent to send kids with no specialized skills.
Couldn't even swing a hammer. No, I know. I know.
No specialized skills to build one house. Like if we're looking at this logically, how is this serving the community? Or is it really about, which I just wish we would get more honest with ourselves, or is it about, people call it volun-tourism or is it about exposing kids from an affluent neighborhood to like exotic poverty and like giving them that life experience so that they can come back and be more grateful?
Sure.
What is it really about? Because if it's helping the community, are we raising $25,000 to then send a team of carpenters to build like a
proper
community,
functioning
like
home?
Right.
Versus like whatever we made. God knows.
But it's like, so let's get honest. Like, is it about exposing kids? Which I think it can be a great reality check.
Well, no, and that's the thing. I think when I went to Mexico all those years, I was very fixated on myself. I was very, very, very insecure. Very like, hooking up with like the different guys who I had the crushes on, and then also wanting to like really prove myself in some weird way that like I'm a good person and like, weird stuff. But then when I got older, actually right before college, I went with Evan and a couple other people we did it ourselves. It was like a makeshift. We went to Albania for a couple weeks and we showed up. And it was exactly kind of what you were saying. Like we raised all this money to go over there, and it cost a lot because it was far,
So yeah, plane tickets alone, I'm sure, are pretty costly.
And then we went to Albania, and we get there, and the church is already kind of like set up, and they're like, "Yeah, you guys can just kind of help us throw our VBS," and for 2 weeks, and the VBS, we don't speak Albanian. So we're literally just hands, but they didn't really need us. And so we were kind of just like hanging out with the kids, and that was sweet. But I remember feeling like I was in the way. And I remember thinking like, I should have just sent the money. And it felt weird, and I started feeling a little weird about it.
And realistically, they might have had to go out of their way to like find a role for you to fulfill.
It felt that way. And I remember being like, I feel a little weird about this. And I felt very humbled because I felt like I was going to go over there and everyone was going to be like, wow, so helpful. Thank you so much. And the community there was like no gratitude that it was expressed. We felt like we were in the way. We were in the way. And the kids also weren't like, they liked us, but it wasn't like they were enjoying all the other people who were helping and like who were locals who were helping, all the parents and everything. And then we used the rest, and then we also raised money or like got our own money to then like float around afterwards to go to like Greece and a few other places and like vacation. And then that made me feel really weird. So I'm like, I raised money. I feel like I was in the way. And then I floated around with my own money, like to Greece and Italy, and kind of like hung out with my boyfriend and like 3 friends. But like we came back and like did it in the name of this. That's when I started to kind of like dissect some stuff. And I started to realize and really like truly be honest with myself and look at the fact of like, hey, a lot of this is for me.
Yeah, actually I went on a mission trip to Costa Rica, which I forgot about. And I went with my dad in a group, and it was like an adult group though. But like the extent, and this was maybe a little bit of a better setup because it was like they had an established like community project going on. But the weird thing is that every summer they would coordinate like a few weeks to have mission trip people come in, and they'd have specific roles. But like when I look back on it, all we did is like we'd go along to the different community things. Like we'd go along to the daycare they already had established, and would like help out, or would like go to the Zumba class for the elderly and like do the Zumba, which is like fun. You know, it's all this stuff where it's like, I'm not really doing shit. And I paid like $3,000 to be here. I'm not fucking helping anyone. And yeah, maybe I'll like connect with the kid, but then what? To leave a week later and be like, bye, I'm not going to see you again, but like, I'll always remember you, Manuel, or whatever the fuck. Like, what was that actually doing? Like, what was I accomplishing? I wasn't accomplishing shit. I had a fun time in Costa Rica and I wanted to go back after. And I think I felt a sense of accomplishment, but really what happened is I was hosted by a family who was going out of their way to help me have a place to stay and was feeding me while I was there, you know, and like all this kind of stuff.
100%.
Like it was 100% volun-tourism.
And I think that it's so in, like you said, it's all the mindset, because I think it is so important for, especially I would say for someone like myself. I know, I'll be real, like I was in my weird Orange County bubble. I knew nothing of the outside world, and it was really important for me. And I was going to Mexico and I still wasn't fucking getting it because I was just still wrapped up in all my own shit at the time. But I know then when I was in college and then I started to do international studies as like another major, that's when then I ended up going to India for like 6 weeks. And that was the best thing that ever happened for me from this perspective, because we didn't go, it wasn't a quote unquote missions trip. It was international studies. So we literally went over and we were in Delhi most of the time, and we were hosted by an Indian family. And we literally would like stroll around and like go check out places, and we'd have families who literally would like bring us in and make food for all of us like us stupid kids who were just like kind of like wandering around, like getting to know the culture, and they'd spend all their money making us food. And I remember just being like, get all weird. Like, who the fuck am I? Like, I think that I offered something, and yet I'm coming face to face with people who are way more fucking advanced than I am when it comes to their emotional capacity, their wisdom. I literally was like, I all of a sudden just came face to face with the idea of like, oh no, this is this tourism thing for me. And all I came over here and I experienced something that was very shocking. And here I am leaving in shock. And I've talked about this before, but I was with a group of kids who were from this Christian university, and there was a lot of like, oh my gosh, negative conversation because it was a different religion. It seemed so dark. And I remember walking away and being like, I feel more light here than I've felt in so many places, because I was welcomed into a community that I did not deserve to be welcomed into, because I was just kind of this obnoxious person who thought I was going to be of some sort of help here. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
And it really rattled me. And so I think with this whole, the white savior thing,
I think there's nothing wrong with wanting an experience. Yeah. And that's the thing, but don't have this pretense of you solving someone's problem. And what were you going to say?
No, I just remember then I had a professor who ended up kind of sitting us down, and he was kind of like the missions professor at Cal Baptist. And I remember he had this conversation with us where he was basically like, he's the missions pastor, and he was very anti like missions trips, and he was very anti people going in, and he would use examples of, you know, a person who would go to, let's say, Africa, and, you know, like a white man would go into Africa and would tell people about Jesus, but then you'd see the church services every single Sunday, and all of a sudden everybody would be dressed the same and singing like hymns and not practicing like the music that they had before. And it was like they removed all these things from it, and it became this like kind of cookie cutter thing.
Well, it's the story of colonialism, and we look at like you know, taking over the Native American populations and assimilating and making things like us, and if things are more like us, then they're better. I even think of, what was that missionary story about the man who was killed and his wife went back? Remember with the...
Elizabeth Elliot.
So in the thing with the Elliot, I've been thinking about, for some reason, the Elliot story, because that was always like the pinnacle of martyrdom and missionary stories. And basically the story, for those of you who don't know, is about a missionary going to a tribe that did not want anyone to come and bother their tribe. And then when he came to try to tell them about the Bible, they killed him the minute he showed up. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is an untouched tribe that has been untouched by colonialism. They had never seen.
They were horrified too, because they had never seen someone, so they didn't kill him.
Well, they made it clear too, I believe, like
to protect him or to protect themselves.
It was known that they wanted to remain in the way their tribe had functioned for thousands of years, which, and then it's like this beautiful martyrdom story people say of like he sacrificed himself, and it's like they didn't. Yeah. These people like made it clear that they didn't want you. Why are you going here?
Yeah. And I want to be respectful, because I know that there's, some people who listen who are firm, like, believers in Christianity and, believe that if you do not follow a certain religion that you will go to hell. So there is like the desire to want to help people. Yeah. So I would say,
it's coming from a good place.
It's coming from a good place. It's just one of those things that I think requires, and I'm saying this again from someone who has done this myself, having to really, like, I had to step back and just be honest with did I really help anyone? And it was like, no, I did help myself. I really did. And I'm really, really grateful for those experiences. And what I have to do is be able to, like, look back and almost kind of give like a silent, like, thank you to those people who I quote unquote helped, who I kind of probably just got in the way. Who ended up helping my perspective.
And there are some guidelines, like I love the Instagram account No White Saviors. It might be a little much for some people, but I love it. And some of the guidelines they give is, if you do not have a specialized skill, if you are not like training nurses, or if you're not like a carpenter training people on how to build their own houses.
Oh no, if you have a specialized skill,
what's the real reason that you're going? Mm-hmm. Because. And can someone else basically do your role better? And can you help fund someone else to be more helpful?
Yes.
And if you're bypassing that and doing it anyway, you might be feeding into the white savior complex or the savior complex of like, I have something special inherently because of where I live and who I am.
Right. That was like why my like quote unquote missions professor, his big thing for all the kids who would come to the college who wanted to be missionaries, he was like, you better develop an excellent skill. He's like, and you better be the best carpenter, the best doctor. And then you can go over, fund yourself, and you can, tell people about Jesus, but you also need to be able to offer something to the community physically.
Well, and also check out, is there someone else doing the same thing? Is Africa has a higher Christian population than the United States does.
Oh, really?
Yes. I may be wrong. But Africa, I believe the leading religion is Christianity. There are less Christian people in the United States. There's people, if you want to spread the gospel, there's people here, and there's so many churches there. So you can be funding churches in Africa of people who live in the community, and you can be sending your $2,500 there and doing good work. That's
help with medical.
Sure. I'm just saying, if your goal is to spread the message of Christianity, there are people doing it who are already a part of the community who don't have to buy a $2,000 plane ticket, and your funding and money can truly, you may not like to hear this, but go to better places. And so there's a lot more that can be said on that. Oh, specifically though with posting, I just wanted to talk about posting.
Yes.
Because I mean, if someone came and if Ruth was orphaned, God forbid, and she was in a orphanage here in Los Angeles, and someone came and take a photo of her with a snotty nose, dirty, sitting in the backyard of the orphanage and posted it for their thousands of followers to see, is that the way I, as a mother, dead or alive, want to see my child portrayed, as this image of poverty that this person is helping? No. Is that putting my daughter in a position of dignity? No. What is it doing? It's just the other person trying to elevate themselves, like we've been talking about, as this savior, this person helping the least of these. And not to mention that it's an exoticizing too of poverty. You know, like the mission trip to Africa are more popular than the mission trip to Albania. And are you going to get more likes on a photo of dirty black children?
I didn't get any likes on my Albanian photos.
What are you going to get more likes on as a girl from Alabama, like, or from wherever? I'm not trying to just hone in on Madison, like you with dirty black children or like white children. And then also, are you doing things to help the black people in your community? Are you aware of like microaggressions and racism and how you play a part in the country you're in? No, you're just interested in helping black people in Africa. Maybe unpack. Is that because you're exoticizing and fetishizing these people in another country? There's so much more to be said, but I'm glad that we could talk about like our experience.
No,
and like it's not just coming from.
It's not coming from. When Beck and I are talking about this, it's not coming from a place of like where I'm like, oh my God, can you believe?
More compassion than
it's
anything.
more like it's just more like I'm seeing it and I go, oh, like because I've processed through that and I at least personally I had a mirror that was held up to me when I had to be really honest with myself that I didn't like. And I had to be really honest.
And I understand where the place it's coming from too. Like when I see it posted, I'm like, damn, I know that this person is, I know it's not in their conscious state, but you know, intent does not erase impact and or lack thereof.
Yes, exactly.
Man, we really went hard in the paint.
We really went hard.
We'll answer some bum questions before the end.
Yeah, we will. Well, we want to talk about teeth for a second. Let's talk about teeth. I do have to say this. Now, as a parent, I have to appreciate the vast amount of money that my parents dropped on 2 rounds of braces for me.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Yep. Like now I was like, oh my God, these are so obnoxious. Now I'm like, God bless you guys for spending that money. So it's so expensive. But now because I suck and I never wore my retainer as a 31-year-old woman, my teeth are moving again. But there is now an affordable option and also an invisible option. It is Candid's clear aligners.
Unlike braces, Candid's clear aligners are comfortable, removable, and totally invisible, so you can transform your smile without anyone noticing a thing. My dad got braces at 45, and it was not his best look. I wish he had Candid instead at the time. And unlike other companies, Candid only works with orthodontists, never just general dentists. So that means that your treatment will be designed by an expert in tooth movement with 20 years of experience on average. Tons of experience. And it's fast. With Candid, the average treatment length is just 6 months, and you'll start seeing results way before then.
Plus, you never have to set a foot in a doctor's office or waiting room. Your treatment is prescribed remotely by a licensed orthodontist, and Candid delivers everything you need right to your door, which is an incredible blessing for little doctor, orthodontist, dentist phobia queens like myself. Learn more about Candid's process and get a complimentary 3D scan of your teeth at a Candid studio near you. It's the simplest, freest way to get started.
So, are you ready to take the first step towards straighter teeth? Because for a limited time, you can get started with $75 off by using code CHATTY at candidco.com/chatty. That's candidco.com/chatty. Use code CHATTY for $75 off at candidco.com/chatty. Code CHATTY.
Speaking of phobias, not only am I a little baby at the dentist's office, I am also a little phobic of the gym. How fun finding about all my fears today.
Just a little fun fact on you.
All my fun fears. Vulnerability 2020. But honestly, I don't like going to the gym because I feel like everyone is looking at me. Vain and narcissistic, maybe. But that's how I feel because I don't feel like I ever know what I'm doing there. Yeah. So I get all sorts of self-conscious and then I just avoid working out altogether. But I have found a solution, a super fun way I can work out in the privacy of my own home, in the nude, even if I want to, really. It's OpenFit.
OpenFit takes all the complexity out of working out. It's a brand new, super simple streaming service that allows you to work out from the comfort of your living room or truly wherever in as little as 10 minutes a day. Everyone's bodies are different, and OpenFit gets that, and that's why they have personalized programs to your needs with custom tailored original content. They have amazing trainers and classes like Extend Bar. That is hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yoga, or join a live real-time workout with a certified personal trainer who will get you the most out of your home workout. But they can't see you. So like Jess said, you could be in the nude.
Exactly. Because I tried it with a trainer once and I felt a lot of pressure and very nervous. But now I love it because I can access it anywhere. And I love that live workout. You can view it on your computer, web-enabled TV, tablet, smartphone, and Roku. I am really, really loving this new live real-time workout. It's so much fun. And it's coming from someone, this is coming from someone who typically doesn't enjoy working out. In fact, to be honest, I never really did it much until super recently with OpenFit. OpenFit has changed the way I work out. And with the code CHATTY, you can join us on a fitness journey personalized just for you. Right now, listeners get a 14-day free trial membership to OpenFit when you text CHATTY to 505050. That's 505050. Try it for free or your money back. It's entirely risk-free. You will get full access to OpenFit, all the workouts, and a nutrition guide totally free for 14 days. Again, just text CHATTY to 505050, 505050. Standard message and data rates may apply. All right. Some fun questions?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Got a little heavy, got a little deep. Wow, that was weird. A Halsey track started to play, and we're going to get our demonetization.
No! Okay.
I was jamming to that new Halsey track. That video is hot. Okay.
Should we do some fast ones? Oh, Jess, if you had one season to pick to be on The Bachelor, which would you pick and why?
I mean, whose season would I have gone on?
Yeah.
Obviously Ari, so I could have met you.
No, that aside. I knew you were going to say that.
Okay, honestly, this is like really awkward because I know him now, but I would say Nick's because I find him to be the most attractive of the bachelors. But I don't know. I'm like, I'd rather go on a girl season.
Which one do you think you'd win?
Oh, which one would I win?
In the guys.
None of
most
them.
likely.
I mean, I'm not.
That's not true.
I don't feel like
What the fuck?
No, I feel...
Don't be humble.
No, listen, I feel good about myself. I feel like... You know what I feel like? I feel like this new Bachelor ABC spinoff where the musician is the head guy, I feel like I could win.
Okay.
Whoever that may be,
I think
feel like
season you could have won.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these men's were looking for like a pageant girl and a certain type of personality, and I just don't know if I'm that. Maybe when my hair was like flowing and I didn't have as many tattoos. I'm not sure.
What about Juan Pablo?
Actually, might have been able to crush that one.
Or like, who was the guy that ended up picking Molly?
Into him. Oh, Jason?
I don't know why I could see you with Jason. Is that weird?
I don't really remember Jason very well. So like I bet maybe Jake Pelvecca, the other pilot, would have liked me, but I did not like him. Because he kind of liked Vienna, or whatever her name was, Vienna. She kind of always had like eyeliner dripping. And I feel like maybe I could have done that. I feel like maybe I could have gotten into that. Oh my gosh. Strange dates, freakiest first date. Do you have any weird, strange first dates?
No, we tried to talk about this before. Remember, I can't think of that many.
Well, I guess I don't mean like nightmare. I was more meaning like weird.
No. Except for the one where we went trail running and I thought I was going to have to be helicopter evacuated off the hill. I was dying.
I had a weird first date in college.
Of course you did. Nobody, just. So this one time this guy stalked me.
Who was this guy? What's in college?
To be completely... Like, to clarify, I never get sick of them. But, like, am I surprised? Never. Nothing you could say now could shock me. You could be like, this guy dressed up like my dad and, like, had photos of my dad all over his apartment. It was really weird. I don't know what that was about. And I'd be like, normal for Jess.
I don't know. I draw strange creatures, I think. I love it, but I do. This is not as weird as someone dressing up as my dad, but I did have a first date with a guy. I really didn't actually want to go out on a date with him, and my friend was like, you should, because she thought he was like one of the cute water polo players, not my type. But he was like, why don't you just like come back to, like our first date was me coming back to his dorm room, and he made his like other dorm mate leave, and I went in and they had Keystone, the beer Keystone. Yeah. stapled as wallpaper in the room. So it was like a giant keystone cave.
That's so fratty.
And I walked in and he goes, "You want to have a keystone?" I was like, and this was when I wasn't drinking because I wasn't 21
like, are we
yet.
being filmed? Is this an ad?
I was like, I don't.
Are you sponsored by Keystone?
Is this what's happening? And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm gonna have any. And he spent the next like hour heckling me, like really rudely for not drinking. And he started getting drunk, and that was literally our first.
No.
Oh yeah, and that was our first date. It was him heckling me, and then I went back to my place, and I was like, that was horrific. And then he started blowing up my phone, and he was like, "Let's do that again. My dad's got a yacht," and starts flexing. And I was just like, I thought we were on the same page when you got drunk and heckled me for not drinking. I thought it was just a mutual bad first date. That's all. I wasn't your Keystone Queen, so I'm kind of like, well, I don't know.
Your Keystone Queen.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, the ultimate fuck, marry, kill. Sweetie Petey, Barbara, or Peter Sr. Jim, aka
fuck
Jim.
Peter, marry Jim, kill Barb. She's too much. I don't want to fuck her or marry her. I don't want her dead, but
I'd have to say fuck Peter Sr.
Okay.
Because I feel like with that stash, he's probably be a great lay. I'd marry Barb because I feel like she'd cook for me for forever. And I'm so sorry, Sweetie Petey, but you're off.
Damn.
Yeah.
You don't think Barb would talk your ear off too much?
Yeah, but I got AirPods and I'm sure her food is delicious.
True. Actually, I'm sure she's Cuban, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Good call.
Marrying her for the food, baby. For the food.
Someone said, do we ever have days where we don't feel like having sex? Yeah, obviously.
Oh
Not
God,
obviously, but you should listen to our other sex episodes for sure. Scroll through.
I very frequently do not feel like having sex. And that's totally fine.
I never feel like having. No, that's not true. But yeah, there's whole weeks and even months sometimes where I'm like mostly not in the mood. There's ebbs and flows.
Absolutely. I'll have like a month where I am literally raging, and then I'll have 2 months where I'm just like could do with or without it. Mostly could do without it.
There's sometimes where sex is like the only thing I can think about, but then there's like other days where I or even weeks where I sort of forget it exists unless someone reminds me. Do you have that experience?
I completely agree with you.
Where it's literally not on my mind at all.
Literally,
it's not like I'm opposed
2 weeks
to
ago.
it.
I felt like a 13-year-old boy, and I was just everything I was looking at. I was thinking about sex, and I was just like, "That's all I want to do."
Yes,
so horny. And then the past 2 weeks, I'm literally like, "Oh no, I'm fine."
But sometimes it's like I forget it even exists.
Yeah, you forget. Until Evan's just like, I don't want to be a bother, but it's been a hot minute. Is it cool? I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about it.
Can I do that?
Okay, Becca, we have to answer this one. Sarah sends us something, and she sent this again, and she's like, I have to know this. Sarah asked us, if you could spend 24 hours with your clone, what would you do? And more importantly, would you have sex with it?
I was about to say, before she asked that, have sex with myself the entire time. The whole time. My 24? Clone? What else? What would I do with my clone if we're like the same? This really did get me thinking after, what was that show? Did you watch it? With
The Clone?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. It's with what's his name? Why can't I think of it?
Do they bang?
Who's the big brother from Clueless? Paul Rudd. It's a TV series with Paul Rudd. Did you watch it?
How did I forget? Yes. Oh my God, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's phenomenal. It's dark and funny and disturbing.
The ending was not anticlimactic.
Yeah,
but it got me really thinking about the clone stuff because then I'm like, okay, does my clone have its own personality?
That's a huge thing. If it's literally identical in every way,
you right now sitting next sounds kind of boring.
Yeah, I'd be like,
I don't even know if I'd really want to have sex with me that much because wouldn't that be predictable?
I'd want to have sex with me out of curiosity as to what having sex with me is like.
But it wouldn't really be like having sex with you because it'd be you having sex with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I would just maybe be like, clone, do your best. And then I would just lay there.
I was thinking, I'm like, what if I just tell my clone what to do? I have that power over them? Can I just tell them what to do?
Maybe you just ask
and
your
whatever
clone.
they do will be like me?
If your clone has the awareness to know that it's.
Well, what if your clone? No, what if your clone is like, Jess, will you go down on me for 2 hours?
I feel like, fuck you, clone. I'm the original. No.
And they're like, I'm the original, bitch.
And then the clone kills me. Of course. Clone things are very scary.
I don't know what else I would like, I guess. What's my clone going to say to me that's interesting that I haven't already thought of? I would get high. No, I would get high with my clone. Because I never know what's going to come out of my high thoughts.
Okay.
So I'd get high with my clone, maybe get drunk with my clone, maybe get my clone drunk.
Oh, that's it. I was going to say, get your clone high or drunk and see what maybe deep inner thoughts you have.
Get your clone wasted.
Yeah.
And study them.
Oh. I would also take my clone to like a bar situation and watch my single clone flirt and see what I look like when I'm trying to flirt with someone. Because I've always been very curious. Like, what are you like? What's your energy? Watch my clone meet new people. I would be a full voyeur with my clone. I would full voyeurism, watch my clone do all sorts of things.
Am I out of my mind, or does it feel like there's an earthquake happening right now? For a second, it felt like there was.
There was once a time where... This is a fun story. Becca and I were recording.
It's on camera, isn't it?
Yeah, we got to release it. I'll find it and release it. There was a full-blown earthquake that happened in the middle of one of our episodes. Like, to the point of, like, you see the whole room shaking and we're, like, screaming. And one of us, like, runs out. And we took it out because...
No, we weren't screaming. We were like, what's going on? What's going on? It's a...
Oh, yeah, but then I was panicking.
We were like all quiet. We're like, is it an earthquake?
And it was a big LA earthquake. It was large, and the whole room was like, it was crazy shaking. And then I ran into the house, and I was just like, "Is everyone all right?" And I was like freaking out, so we took it out of the episode. Yeah. But we'll release it at some point because our faces were pure terror. We were so scared, so scared.
And then the other one hit like 2 days later, and I was at the Dodger Stadium when it hit. That shit was crazy.
Yeah. Oh no, I was like, oh, we're going down. It's game over for all of us.
I am getting a lot of questions about the breastfeeding thing, so I'll just say right now, I don't know what I'm going to keep doing. Right now, I don't have any problem with milk supply. I don't have anything against tandem breastfeeding when the new baby's born. But I just don't. If there's one thing I've learned with parenting, you're always going to eat your words. So I'm just with certain things. I'm like, I don't know. I may be into it. I may not. It may happen. It may not. So I don't really know. We'll just keep trucking until there's an issue.
That's the best parenting advice I feel like you can ever give is like, hey, literally, it's always different, and there's never a clear answer. No one has all the answers. Don't put expectations on yourself. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm getting also a lot of what was our first tattoo, both of our first tattoos.
Oh, I think I've talked about it before. Mine was like I have a little like key lock. What would you call it?
A
keyhole?
A keyhole?
A keyhole?
I think so.
I guess that's right. A keyhole that before I was even dating him, my boyfriend... I always had blind dates for some reason to formal or prom or like Sadie's. I always thought that was really fun. So I had a blind date and we hung out like the week before with our friends. And then we were like, he was like, why don't we give each other tattoos? Like I know how to do prison tats. And of course, so Aquarius me, I'm like, I'm in love with you. And so everyone else backed out and we were the only two who would do it. And so we're like, this will be funny. Let's get matching tattoos.
Oh
you God. Get a key, I'll get a keyhole. And we gave them to each other. We were like 16. It was a week before formal. And then like
that's romantic.
2 years later is when we started dating and we fell in love. But it was like actually like a long time later. And then that was my first love.
Actually really cute.
And we still have them. When was your first?
I have a probably about 2 foot by 2 feet dragon on my back. That was my first. Just kidding.
I was so confused for a second. I thought you were. What? I was like, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, Hawaii. I don't remember.
I have a leprechaun over my ass crack. It's huge. No,
When and what was your first?
I have this peacock feather on the side of my leg. Yeah. It's my least favorite tattoo. There is a Bible verse underneath it because that was the only way that I could convince my parents.
Proverbs 31?
No, it is. I don't even know what it is. Peter.
Oh, shut up. You don't know what it is?
No, I don't remember. Because the only reason, this is so dark. See,
you really
like,
don't know what it was?
No, this is the fucking dark shit, like where I'm talking about like the whole Mexico trip. And I was just like, wasn't being honest and transparent. The only reason I included a Bible verse in this was because I wanted to be able to get it. And I was still living at home. I was 18. And the only way that I could convince my parents that I could get a tattoo was if I associated it.
This was the fact that this is the verse you got tattooed.
Is it dark? I'm afraid.
It's hilarious.
Okay.
I can't believe this is the tattoo you have on.
Because I know why I have the peacock feather associated with it, so we'll see.
Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. This is the verse you have tattooed on yourself.
It's the opposite of me.
Elaborate hairstyles, gold jewelry, fine clothes. You have turned away from the Lord, my friend.
It all started here.
The unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit.
I remember that. Okay, so that's
more lovely.
That's what I was associating.
The first half of the verse,
not the first half. The second half was the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. I remember I got the peacock feather to remind me this. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I cannot even believe I'm saying this out loud. I got the peacock feather to remind me that it's maybe is the most beautiful bird, but it doesn't really it can't really fly, right? So you don't have to be physically a certain way.
Okay.
It's all about having a gentle and quiet spirit. And I thought of quiet spirit as a non-anxious spirit because I was in like the throes of anxiety.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that part of it a lot, actually. Yeah. I think that's quite beautiful.
It wasn't the adornment that I was thinking about so much, but the fact that is literally the verse that is on my body. You know what?
The irony is thick, my friend.
You know what? I was thinking about getting it covered up. I'm keeping it. Because this is called transition. And this is actually the only tattoo on me that I don't really like, and it's my first one. All the other ones I like. I just don't like the artwork.
I'm trying to see if there's any more.
But now that I know that that's the actual verse on my body.
You're keeping it forever. In fact, you should have it tattooed like across your chest.
On my chest, 100%.
What about last question I want to say as someone asked a question about pregnancy sex, and the reason I want to talk about it is because like someone else was talking about it recently.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I don't think there's I always looked forward to pregnancy sex. And it's not any better or worse or anything for me. It's like, the emotions surrounding it are maybe different, and I get more yeast infections, which sucks.
That was the big thing, was the yeasties.
Oh, you got it too?
I got
when you were
so
pregnant?
many yeast infections.
Horrible.
And I never really had gotten a ton before, and I got pregnant, and it was like yeast central. Yeah.
Horrible.
Terrible.
So, and that can sometimes make things painful and uncomfortable and all that sort of thing. But other than that, I don't think sex is really any better or worse while pregnant for me.
I personally was not a fan of having sex when I was pregnant. I really got to have a beautiful relationship with my vibrator when I was pregnant. I was horny for a good chunk of my pregnancy, but I didn't really want to have sex.
Really?
Yeah. I just didn't even early on, before, when I was still felt fully mobile, I was just kind of like, eh.
That was actually the first trimester when I was pregnant with Ruth, at least, just because I had way more symptoms with Ruth than this pregnancy. I was way the first trimester, I was like, please don't touch me. This is gross. And you smell weird.
Yeah, there's weird things you start to note. Like sometimes certain smells are bothering you, or
the chewing bugs me during pregnancy. It's just during pregnancy.
Chewing?
I will be sitting next to Gray and we'll be watching a movie on the couch, and I'm like, do you have a loudspeaker connected to you eating cereal next to my ear watching this? Go away! And it happened again this time, and I'm like, that's a great thing about second pregnancy.
You know.
This is just pregnancy talking. We're good. I don't hate you.
No, it's just my hormones. All right, the final question, and I saw it and I remember it now. I don't remember what broad asked it, and I have to know. This broad wanted to know, have we ever had a sex dream about each other?
No, I don't even know if you've like ever been in my dreams. That's mean. I'm sorry. Maybe once or twice.
I've tried to have sex dreams about her, but
you're trying to think of me naked
before I go to sleep. I'm just like, this is gonna be the night.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had anything with you or Evan. I don't think so.
I'm the older I get, the less I remember my dreams. I really don't remember my dreams very often. It's very rare, and when I do remember them, it's a lot of faceless people. And a lot of
faceless orgies.
A lot of faceless orgies and a lot of like Armageddon situations and a lot of teeth falling out.
Feel the Armageddon situations. Mm-hmm. I also occasionally have extra. This happened when I was pregnant last time. When I'm pregnant, I get ex dreams.
Really?
Dreams of my exes.
Interesting.
All the time.
Interesting. Are they sex dreams or are they?
They're usually sexual or romantic.
Okay.
Grayson's nowhere to be seen.
Grayson's face does not exist.
And I wake up and it actually fucks me up usually when I wake up.
Yeah,
because it's like I'm back in love with this person or whatever.
Yeah, you're thrown off. You're in like a Hannah Peter situation.
Yeah, it's a pregnancy thing though. Last pregnancy happened this morning when I woke up from my dreams.
You had an ex dream.
I was like in my dream, I was like texting my ex. And I was waiting for him to text back. And in my dream, I kept checking my phone and checking my phone and checking my phone. And I couldn't wait for him to respond.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was a very emotionally driven dream too, where in my dream I couldn't wait for him to text back.
That would fuck me up.
It wasn't fun to have.
Yeah, I don't think I have any. I like never have ever really had many sex dreams in general, I don't think. I don't have fun dreams. It's annoying. Yeah, I don't have dreams that I like woke up and I'm like, that was a good time.
My sex dreams I've had a couple like that. My sex dreams are usually like with someone where I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah, like why that person?
Yeah, someone's just really random.
Yeah. The only like sex dream that I vividly remember ever having is with Nick Kroll.
So funny.
Yeah. And it wasn't just a sex dream. It was a dream where Nick Kroll and I fell deeply in love with each other. And since then, when I see him, my heart flutters. And before, wasn't attracted to Nick Kroll. And now when I see him, I'm always like, oh my God, I feel like we're in love with each other. And I feel like I have this weird connection with him and I've never met him.
That's so funny. Mm-hmm. I've definitely felt that too, though. We have a connection. Anyway, we could just rattle on forever. So let's wrap this up. Thank you guys. Thank you, broads, for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you learned a little more about some of our backgrounds and some weird things about us. We'll have a Q&A here coming up soon that has all sorts of questions from you. Maybe some fun questions where we can give recommendations to things.
Also, if you have any fun topic ideas, email us at askthebroads@gmail.com or DM us on Chatty Broads.
Please do. Love you, broads, and chat soon.
Chat soon. Bye.
Bye.